20 countries will meet at Nasrec for 2 days to deliberate on the key policy points. This includes inclusive economic growth, the debt crisis in emerging markets, geopolitical tensions and climate change. High-level security measures are already being put in place for the Leaders' Summit. Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloyi says the attempt to test the security protocols has backfired.
The law enforcement agencies are more...
Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloyi says the attempt to test the security protocols has backfired.
The law enforcement agencies are more than ready to ensure the security of all delegates to the G20 Leaders Summit.
Baloyi says since taking over the G20 presidency, South Africa has already hosted more than 130 prep meetings without any incident. Nogukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
Parliament's inquiry into statutory rape has heard that while some professionals are unsure how to report the crime, families of the victims are often reluctant to do so. The inquiry will enter a second day in East London today to determine what Parliament should do to protect children from sexual assault. A dire shortage of social workers was highlighted as a key challenge to dealing with statutory rape in the Eastern Cape. This is despite many young social workers being unemployed. Lindsay Tentlinker has more.
The Department of Social Development says statutory rape in the Eastern Cape has become a scourge. While the Children's Act makes it mandatory for professionals to report such crimes, Deputy Director General Zuliswa Ganka says many don't know how to complete the paperwork to report the cases. Social workers are also overburdened by their caseload.
We are not able to efficiently and effectively support the victims.
She says many social workers also fear reprisal if they do report statutory rape cases.
Fear of attack by communities, fear of stigmatization and in a stigma because you are a victim of sexual assault.
Ganka says many families also prefer to come to their own arrangement when such cases occur to ensure financial stability in the family because the perpetrator is often a breadwinner. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption will resume today with Deputy Police Minister Polly Bushilo testifying. Her appearance comes after the second Deputy Minister in the department, Casel Matale, gave evidence last week. Bushilo is expected to provide the committee with information on the current state of policing in the country and her knowledge of the disbanding of the Political Killings Task Team by Senzo Mchunu. Babalon Denza reports.
The Parliament Ad Hoc Committee will resume today with more evidence on the responsibilities of deputy ministers and the powers delegated to them. Last week, Deputy Minister Casel Matale revealed that he had not been delegated any powers by Senzo Mchunu since his appointment a year ago. He also told the committee that he was not informed about the directive to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia, who is expected to appear after Boshielo, told the police committee yesterday that the Madlanga Commission and Ad Hoc Committee will help expose the rot in the police.
But the Madlanga Commission and the Audit Committee is going to cast an eye on the darkness, on the problems that we face in South African policing, and it will present us with the difficult moments.
The next set of witnesses will include Mchunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Nkabinde, as well as controversial businessman Brown Mogotsi. Babalo Ndanza, Eyewitness News.
And people in the Philippines have sought refuge on rooftops as Typhoon Kelmakai hits the central parts of the country. At least 2 people have died, while hundreds of thousands have been displaced by the powerful storm, which made landfall shortly before midnight. Some of the people affected by the typhoon were already living in tent cities after a 6.9 magnitude quake rocked the island in late September. Gold is trading at $3,978.76 an ounce. The rand is at 17.36 to the dollar, 22.78 to the pound, 19.98 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.70 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays. In fact, heavy traffic volumes on the N1 North. This is between the Soweto Highway and 14th Avenue. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the N3 North, queuing traffic between Vincent Chabalala Road and the Baklu Interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, a security specialist has been arrested for bypassing G20 security protocols at Nasrec.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Great to have you with us here on 702 on this beautiful Tuesday morning, the 4th day of November. I hope you're well this morning. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Did Brown Mogotsi survive an assassination attempt, or is he playing games? That's the question police are trying to figure out this morning. Last night, the vehicle he was traveling in was shot at multiple times, but he wasn't injured. And he didn't want to open a case with the police last night, which I think is a bit weird. He promised to go to the police station this morning, and the police officers are still waiting for him. In fact, I've just heard Atlenda Mati once again confirm on the SABC that they still are waiting for Brown Mogotsi to come and open a case with the police. What do you think is at play here? From what we know so far, this man is a chance taker. He has claimed so many things and lied to people. I mean, he's the type of person who will call and make all sorts of claims. From what we've heard so far, from the interviews that we've seen as well, that he has done in the media. So what we've seen is that he really can be an information peddler. And this is now the man that is claiming that there was an assassination attempt on his life. But this is a man that also is thrust in a very dangerous environment. I mean, it's possible that there are people that want him out. Or he just doesn't want to go to the Madlanga Commission because they've been asking him to come. He asked for an extension. They granted him that extension. I'm told that the commission spoke to him and his lawyers yesterday to try and finalize the dates and statements, etc. And apparently a conversation was had about his safety as well. And then boom, his car is riddled with bullets that same day. And I've been doing some digging to try and find out who this car belongs to, and it's owned by a certain company. Can't say yet which company that is. I still want to confirm a few things. But the point here is, this man has not been a credible character. But that doesn't mean that he's immune from the normal crime that you and I can experience. Any crime that can befall you and I. So what do you think is at play here, honestly? 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. Send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. The 2026 Comrades Marathon entries are officially sold out. I know we have a running community here on 702. Can you believe that the entries are sold out already? Within 10 hours. I mean, general entries were opened yesterday morning following the initial 2,600 plus entries secured by Green Number Club and CMA members. So the remaining spots were completely scooped up in under 10 hours. And I wonder if you managed to enter for the Comrades Marathon yesterday before the entries were out. And I entered literally 6 minutes before the entries were sold out last night. And I have friends who didn't make it on time. Did you make it? And if you didn't enter, are you worried? Or do you think that perhaps there will be, during substitution you can win there? Or maybe they'll open another phase for entries. I'll have someone from the Comrades Marathon to give us a sense of what the plan is. And then I've got a question for you as well on the open line this morning. Do you think the parliamentary inquiry needs to hear from the other deputy Minister of Police, Sheila Bushielo, because she's going to take the hot seat today at that ad hoc committee in Parliament. Honestly, I think it's a waste of time. And I wonder what you think. And sure, the committee have powers to invite whoever they want to invite. But what really do you want to know from the second deputy minister? We're wasting time and resources here. We need to hear from key people. Call in the IDEC head, Andrea Johnson. Bring in Godfrey B, the former head of the Hawks, who dispatched a team to go to KT Molefe's house when he was being arrested. Bring in Brown Mogotsi. Bring in the Hawks head in KZN. There are many other implicated parties that can help shed light on the allegations that were made by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Now you're going to hear from another deputy minister who's going to tell you what exactly that the other deputy minister has not told you. So, do you think we need to hear from this other deputy minister? I think it's a waste of time. Let me know what you think. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. You may have seen that the Department of Health has unveiled some funding proposals to implement this long-awaited national health insurance. And there are some concerns that have been raised around this mix of redirected public funds, for instance, even the scrapping of medical tax credits, redirecting subsidies to civil servants for medical aid, and the introduction of payroll taxes. And there are issues that have been raised about the proposals to finance the NHI through this mix of redirected public funds. So I want the minister to explain that, but also we will have a conversation about other issues as well. That's between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today we'll be discussing how to deal with grief when you are in the workplace, because you don't leave grief at home. It's part of your life. And as an adult, you take your grief everywhere you go, including into the workplace. And we live in a world that pushes productivity and performance, and many workplaces are not even equipped to deal with loss, whether it's the death of a loved one or the end of a relationship or any other major change, right? Grief in the workplace can show up in missed deadlines. Maybe you go to work and you've got glazed over eyes. You know, people experience unexpected outbursts from you. There's a sudden silence, because that's what grief does, and people grieve differently. But how empowered are our workplaces to create an environment where you can do that and be able to grieve? At 11:30, we're going to do our health and wellness feature. Today, we're discussing this excitement that we're seeing about protein. It's suddenly become such a big wellness trend. So is it really worth the hype? I mean, if you've been on social media lately, you've probably noticed how everyone is talking about protein. It's in the shakes, it's in the cereal, it's in the snacks, even in coffee. So what used to be something for bodybuilders, you could argue, has now become part of everyday life. So we'll be talking about that on our health and wellness feature at 11:30. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Morning, Clement, and the 702 land. It's Tole from Sky City. Yeah, as Comrades Marathon, I had to pull there, and that's why I make sure that I enter. So yeah, I'm in for the next day. I'm going for my 5th one. So I wanted to make sure I was planning with maybe I will enter around the 15th. But seeing the entries, I enter when they say they posted that and now 80% it's sold. So I have to pull there and there to make sure that I'm in. Yeah, it's all here. But yeah, runners are hungry for running. We are hungry for the streets. Have a good day. Thanks.
Yeah, especially because we couldn't even do the Cape Town Marathon. We're so hungry. So good on you, my brother, for making it. Did you not make it for the Comrades Marathon when you tried to enter the entries? Or maybe even finding out now that the entries are out. But I do think that they'll probably come up with a plan, maybe to reopen entries for, a small batch of people to register, or maybe during substitution, that's a chance that you'll have. I'll bring the Comrades guys before we wrap up the 702 open line this morning, just to get a sense of what's next from here. On YouTube, Vutu says, Clement Mogotsi thinks we are playing games here. Yeah, but is he playing games, or is he really telling the truth? I had a conversation with Atlenda Mati, who speaks on behalf of the SAPS just before we went live now at 9 o'clock, just to get a sense of what's happening. When did you know as the police that this man was shot at? And why hasn't he opened a case? Don't the police become your refuge? And what's really life-threatening about opening a case about people who try to shoot at you? He promised to come this morning to the police station to open that case with his lawyer. He's still not there. Listen to the conversation I had with Atlenda Mati, and then I'll go to your calls and WhatsApps. Atlenda, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
A very good morning to you and to your listeners.
The situation is a little confusing. Can you just explain to our listeners what happened to Brown Mogotsi and this vehicle that you've recovered as the SAPS?
Look, at around 10 o'clock last night, we received a call from an individual or from a private security around Foslora saying there was a shooting in the area. We responded, and when we got there, we found Mr. Brown Mogotsi there together with the individual of the private security, where he alleges that there was a white bakkie that was following him, and then he started shooting at him. So he couldn't explain the make of the bakkie, but then there were several shots fired at the car that he was traveling in, and we have seized the car. But before obviously seizing the car, we had to call in our forensic experts to work on the car to collect all physical evidence that will be able to assist us in this particular case, to solve this particular case. So we had our fingerprint experts, your ballistic experts on the ground, just to ensure that they gather all the evidence that will assist us to solve this case of attempted murder. So at that time, I'm told he refused to open a case, citing that he feared for his life. So he then promised that in the morning, this morning, he will make his way to the Vosloorus police station at 8 o'clock with his lawyer to open a case. So 8 o'clock has passed. We are still waiting for him to open a case, but we are already investigating a case.
Okay, hold on. He called the police, or the private security was with, called the police last night when the incident happened, and yet he doesn't want to open a case because he's fearing for his life?
Yes, it was the security official that told the acting station commander that there is a shooting, and that is what is concerning, to say, you called us, we responded, we are investigating, we have seized the vehicle, but yet you are not coming forward to open a case, citing that you are fearing for your life and so on. So, but we are waiting for him. We will be patient. We are here the whole day, and we are waiting for Mr. Brown Mogotsi to come and open a case. But nonetheless, whether he opens a case or not, we are continuing with our investigations.
Okay.
Crime intelligence is on the ground. We want to determine where this car was coming from, where it was going, who was actually inside the vehicle when that shooting happened. We've already determined who the car belongs to.
Who does it belong to?
That's for police investigation, and then we will obviously conduct further investigations.
Was he, and you don't know yet if he was alone in the car at the time of the shooting and whether he was injured or not?
So for now, we are told he was alone. I just spoke to the acting station commander. I'm also here, where they briefed me on actually what they found, and they say he was alone. He was alone at the time, and so he needs to then come to the Vosloorus police station and assist us.
Was he okay? So, and we don't know if he was injured.
He was not injured. Not even a single bullet hit him.
How many bullets?
No injuries. We're not sure for now. We're not sure, but there's more than, I think, 3.
Okay.
More than 3. Yeah.
All right. Brigadier Atlenda Mati, spokesperson for the SAPS, thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you.
702.
Call Clement
on 011
883
0702.
Yeah, it's quite a shaky story. The latest is that the police still can't get a hold of Brown Mogotsi. Atlenda Mati has just told the media now that Brown Mogotsi is not cooperating and they need him to make a statement. And the police are now saying that they will charge him if they find that this is staged. Because, there are resources here that were deployed. It's weird that someone experiences something so scary at night and refuses to open a case and then claims I'll open it in the morning. He refused to open it last night because he says he claims that he's fearing for his life. Semi, you're calling us from Pretoria. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. Clement, you remember in 2017, Kenny Kunene's car was shot at 20 times. And then there was people saying, no, it's Kenny Kunene, this, that, and the other is connected to Jacob Zuma.
Mm-hmm.
And there was an independent investigator who came up and then he verified that the claim that the car was being shot at, that the story was true.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, as well, this guy's been shot at. I mean, what's the reason to doubt him? Because he's in trouble already. There's no way. They claim that to say his car being shot at is not going to get him out of trouble.
Well, it could buy him time.
I don't see why. I don't see why he. Yeah, so you can go on.
Sorry, Sammy. I was saying it could buy him time. So I've given a number of scenarios. Number one, I do think that you are right. It's possible that this may have happened. Nobody knows for sure at this stage. I think that just because he is a chance taker and is an information peddler, he's lied to people before, doesn't mean that he, is immune from experiencing crime like all of us. And in fact, the other scenario I demonstrated is that this guy is thrust in a very dangerous environment. There are people that probably don't want him to speak out at the Madlanga Commission, so they want to take him out now. That's possible. But what's also a possibility here is that this guy may just be staging it based on his erratic behavior, Semi. I mean, you listen to interviews he's done. 1 second. The interviews that he's done, you pick up from the WhatsApp messages that have been exposed between him and Ket Matlala, and why Ket Matlala ended up being so angry at him and Senzo Mkhune, and now has decided he wants to expose them, is because he lies a lot. And even the ANC politicians who know him in the Northwest have said, we know this guy, he's a chance taker. He likes taking chances and lying to people about things and lie about how connected he is. So there's a possibility as well that maybe he just wants to buy time. I mean, at the Madlanga Commission, they spoke to him and his lawyers yesterday. They've been trying to get him to come there. He asked for an extension. And I wonder now what he's going to tell them, he's going to say to them, because they're now, the Madlanga Commission are now saying, we're concerned about his safety. So what does that mean? Does this buy him more time? Does it mean he won't be able to come and testify as soon as he needs to, based on a date that's been agreed upon? Anything is possible.
Okay, let's just do this question. Hello?
Yeah.
Are you still there?
We're here, Semi. We can hear you.
Okay. Had this been a lady, Clement, would you still have felt the same?
With the same credentials and credibility, I would have said the same things. It's not about gender. It's about your character.
No, I just wanted to find out.
So you know what once happened.
Yes.
Were we supposed to talk about what Brown called about the other day? About the arrest?
Who?
Sorry, I'm asking the producer, Semi, because something happened and that I want to share with you guys. I don't think it's secret, right? Okay. Right? It's not secret, is it? It's not. Okay. The producer has given me the go-ahead. There was a time when we were live on air on this show. Brown Mogotsi, we've been trying to speak to this guy. I've never interviewed him before. I've never met him. I don't know him. But since he's been in the news, we've been trying to get a hold of him. But he has always said he's scared to come on my show. Now, one time I'm live on this radio, and he calls one of the producers of the show, and he tells he tells her that the National Police Commissioner is about to be arrested. On the day, I'm live on the radio, he calls, he says, I've got information, I'm sharing this with you, the National Police Commissioner is just about to be arrested. I mean, we didn't do anything about that because we've come to know what kind of character he is. So I'm giving you that sense, Semi, that that's the kind of, is the National Police Commissioner arrested now? No, he's not arrested. But that's a kind of person who will come and lie about certain things because he wants to divert attention or because he needs attention. He's very erratic. And that's why I'm saying, just open up your mind to any possibility here.
No, I hear you. Thanks.
Sure, Semi, in Pretoria. Thank you for your call.
Hey, good morning, Clement. What's up again? Ronald Matata Baya Mogasine, Mofoslo. and we need our police to be dealing with real issues. As far as I'm concerned, I've seen the news, I've seen the car, I've heard the story about what Mogotsi is saying. I'm really not convinced, and I think it's just a matter of time before it's proven for what it really is, the stand. But I'm just saying, no, we shouldn't be stretching our police to be investigating fake things more forcefully, more terrorism from forcefulness.
Yeah, but we don't know that it's fake yet, guys. We don't know for sure that it's fake. So I think we must have some grace to be open to possibilities. Anything is possible with this chap.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, that man, I'll tell you, is quarter to fake his dead. Soon we'll hear they say that man is dead. Thank you, Clement. This is so infamous.
I'm not trying to be insensitive here. This thing of Brown Mogotsi, man, this thing was cooked. These guys, if they want to assassinate you, they won't miss. They don't miss the target. This guy. So I smell a rat here.
Morning, Clement. Regarding Brown Mogotsi's assassination, my goodness, did you see the car he was driving? For a person who hangs around with shady characters, bribes, cops, and politicians to be driving a 80,000 Chevy Aveo or whatever it's called, I cannot believe it, Something is fishy here.
I mean, wait, what? Who was telling me the other day that someone said to me that there's a certain person who drives like a Ferrari at night, but during the day they drive like an ordinary car. That's possible. I mean, and I don't know, maybe this was it a Chevrolet, that car? Yeah, it's a Chevrolet. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a car he uses for Uber, or maybe it is his car. Who knows? But I know that it's registered to a certain company. And he needs to go to the cops and explain what happened. Because part of what they must look at here is also like, who owns this car? Where was it coming from? Where was it going? And the cops now are saying he's nowhere to be found. And yet he promised to return to the police station this morning. Spiwe, you calling us from Joburg. Hi.
Hi, how are you, Clement?
Hey, Tada.
Sure. Hey, I just want to make a comment with this, man. I think for me, it's just this Mogotsi is full of games, man. Who survives attempted murder and not run to the cops? If he's saying he doesn't trust the cops, who then does he trust to deal with this case?
Who?
Why is he invading the cops?
But he's got a reason not to trust the cops, doesn't he, Spiwe, seeing what is happening now in the SAPS, don't you think?
He's part of that, Mos. He's the friend with Minister of Police. How can he be the friend of Minister of Police and they not
his
trust the
friend
cops?
is now on special leave, so he's not even a minister yet. Yes, he's a minister, but he's on special leave, so maybe he just doesn't trust.
So for me and you, to have faith and trust in cops, we need to know someone who's still in power.
Unfortunately, that's the country we live in. And that's what has been exposed through the Madlanga Commission and the parliamentary inquiry. Spiwe, in Johannesburg, thank you for your call. Any of us, if there's a hit on you, you survive. How many bullets? 3 or 4? There's no blood in the car. I mean, he's clearly survived it. There's a security company, by the way, that apparently got there first before the police. And it's that security company that reported this shooting to the police. And we did try to get a hold of the security company because I want them to also give us their information. Who did they find on the scene? What happened? How was this guy? But the security company doesn't want to come on and speak to us. But I respect that. It's 9:30. What do you think is up? Give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Did you make it for the 2026 Comrades Marathon? Did you manage to enter? Because the entries are officially sold out. Please let me know if that's the case for you. And do you think that the parliamentary inquiry needs to hear from the second Deputy Minister of Police, because Sheila Bushielo is currently on the hot seat in Parliament as we speak. By the way, Dumisani Khumalo as well is back at the Madlanga Commission. Remember, the head of the crime intelligence got sick. I think on his second day of testimony, he wasn't able to continue and he had to take some time off, and he's just returned now at the Madlanga Commission. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. A security specialist has been arrested for bypassing G20 security protocols at Nasrec. It's understood the operations director of a security firm was attempting to prove that South Africa doesn't have sufficient measures in place for the upcoming G20 leaders summit. The man was arrested yesterday for trespassing. Embattled crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo will appear before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning, more than a month after he fell ill. Khumalo testified after 2 days in late September before falling ill on the morning of October the 1st, just minutes before he was expected to continue with his testimony. It's reported that he was taken to hospital and then released shortly after he was recovering from home. And lawyers for U.S. aviation giant Boeing and the families of the victims of a fatal Ethiopian Airlines crash will give opening statements today in their first civil trial stemming from the disaster. The legal proceedings began yesterday with the selection of an 8-person jury who will hear the case concerning the March 10, 2019 flight that went down 6 minutes after departing Addis Ababa for Nairobi, killing all 157 people on board. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you. Amo?
Well, Clement, we've got an accident on the N1 North that happened right near Albertina Sisulu Road off-ramp. It's causing delays as you come out of the Soweto Highway, about a 20-minute hold up there. Please be on the lookout and approach with care. While traveling on the N3 North this now in the Kelvin area, we've got an accident right after Marlborough Drive. Delays coming out of Vincent Chabalala Road all the way towards the Baklu turnoff because there's also roadworks along this route that are causing these delays. While traveling on the M1 South, some delays between Marlborough Drive and Corlett Drive. Please be on the lookout there, and heading towards the city of Tshwane. Please be on the lookout for roadworks causing delays approaching the Oliphantfontein Road off-ramp. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Majestic handling. A V8
Cars.co.za.
Horsepower that is...
Cars.co.za.
This is very annoying. I'm trying to read a car radio advertisement.
Whatever car you want to buy or sell, cut through the and just go to cars.co.za and let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
Will negotiations and conversations continue today, or have people paused for a while, go and consult, and then come back at a later date?
My understanding is that negotiations and conversations are ongoing. Unfortunately, the deadline for the employer-initiated work stoppage has now passed, so that commenced as of midnight last night. What's really important to emphasize is that our full roster is fully protected, with all scheduled flights covered by non-unionized crew members and, of course, by unionized crew members that have already accepted the company's offer.
Kirby Gordon, Chief Marketing Manager for FlySafe Air.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and you know I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your clientele legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
702.
WhatsApp Clement
on 072
702
1702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. I've just remembered now a conversation that Brown Mogotsi had. Was it on Newsroom Africa? Where he made a threat that what he's about to expose is going to be explosive. What did he say in Zulu? Gyokhala amadoda. Huh? Meaning men are going to cry when he exposes what he's going to expose. So just keep that in mind. Just as you think of the possibilities and, you know, what could have happened here last night. Maybe there are people that don't want him to speak out, that want him out. Or maybe he's just playing games because that's what he's done throughout his life, based on what we have seen so far and what we've heard even from the very same ANC comrades who know him. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Good morning, Clement. Clement, that man, I'll tell you, is quarter to fake his dead. Soon we'll hear they say that man is dead. Thank you, Clement. This is so infamous.
I'm not trying to be insensitive here. This thing of Brown Mogotsi, man, this thing was cooked. These guys, if they want to assassinate you, they won't miss. They don't miss the target. This guy. So I smell a rat here.
TJ, you calling us from Soshanguve. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Manyathela, how are you? I'm saying this is the highest rendition of an act that I had ever seen. I watched over the news, Clement. Have you ever watched the tires of that car that he was traveling in?
I saw the cars.
They are worn out with, the tires. I mean, how could you travel in such a car knowing that your life is at risk? Because those tires would have just burst, you know?
Exactly.
So I'm saying that man is an actor. You know, he really needs an award.
The Oscar goes to... Yeah, guys, really, I just think anything is possible. I honestly, I'm not 100% convinced that he is acting, even though I know he is. I think he's got it in him to act like that. But I also think that this man probably knows a lot more. This man probably knows other senior ANC leaders who benefited from CAT and all these other guys that are accused of these terrible, terrible, terrible crimes. So, yeah, I'm on the fence here. I think anything is possible, but let's wait and see.
Morning, Clement, to your crew there, and morning to everyone else who's listening. Clement, not to rule out or to seem as if I rule out the possibility of an actual attempt on his life, because I mean, if really it is true, then we will be rendering our own selves insensitive. But Clement, I also want to factor in another dimension, which is Brown perhaps trying to send a message to the top-notch guys, especially in the ANC, to say, or those against whom he's having an information to say, I'm here. Before this thing can come out in the public domain, let's talk, let's have a talk. Perhaps he's trying to do that. Even perhaps his reason to buy time to appear at the Madlanga Commission was motivated by that. Perhaps.
Morning, Clement. Last week, the police were in Northwest, in Brown Mogotsi's house or business. They needed the gadgets. Yesterday, Brown Mogotsi was in a police station. Why didn't he hand over these gadgets? This is a very funny story.
Morning, Clement. Hope you're well. Clement, I don't know. Like, are you telling me out of every single thing that has been said and everything that Brown himself has said about his doings, there is absolutely nothing that he could be arrested for? Absolutely nothing that he could be arrested for. That man should be behind bars in the protection of the SAPS. Thank you, Max from the West.
Yeah, Max, politicians have found a way to steal. And they've become smarter and smarter about it. In fact, and I'm talking about politicians who are thieves, right? Any criminal, has found a way to be better criminals. So you've got to evolve and you've got to adapt. And I think the latest version, in fact, I would argue that it's been used for a while now. It's not even as latest as I argue for it to be. But normally, politicians will always they used to find their family members before. Yeah? So politicians used to make sure that they've got, either their relative or their siblings, or to start a company. That's how they steal from government. That's where the kickbacks are going to go to. But that's very easy to track when you follow the money. So they found a new modus operandi over the last probably 10 years or so, you could argue. I'm not sure about the periods, but what you then begin to pick up is they now will go and find just a random person that you wouldn't ordinarily and easily associate with them. And that's a person that they are going to use to launder money from the state. Remember with Digital Vibes, when the health minister, Zweli Mkhize, was still Minister of Health, and his advisor was involved in Digital Vibes. Do you remember how they used to clean the money and make sure that it gets to the beneficiaries? They found a grocery store in Pietermaritzburg. So monies used to be sent to the grocery store, and then the grocery store, I think, used to then withdraw the money and give it in cash, and it used to be collected by certain people. Those people you would never make a connection to, who is the health minister at the time, is he benefiting or not? But the minute you start following the money, which Daily Maverick did so well, they followed the money so well, and you can see how it flows until it gets to the beneficiary. So that's how politicians have come to do it now. They get they call them runners sometimes. These are people who are going to facilitate the deals. They'll get the business people. They'll have the relationship with the business people. But when as a politician, your hands are clean. So that should the police come and say, hey, something is fishy here. As an official, you say, I know nothing. The same way that Zweli Mkhize claimed, I know nothing. Even though it's very clear what benefits got to him and his family through his advisor. That's how they do it. So you're saying with Brown Mogotsi, is there anything that he can be arrested for? What do you arrest him for? Because so far, what has been revealed is that, yeah, sure, he spoke to these guys, Waket Matlala. Yes, he facilitated funds here and there. He asked for monies. He promised certain things. But is it criminal to promise a meeting between a businessman whether tainted or not, and a police minister. What the police will have to investigate is whether there have been proceeds of crime that have flowed into any accounts that is associated with. Remember, Clement Manyathela has apparently paid monies into a certain businesswoman in the Northwest, and that businesswoman is then linked to Brown Mogotsi. So they have found ways, these guys, to steal, and it's just shocking how they go about it. I'm telling you. It's 14 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
702.
WhatsApp Clement
on 072
702
1702.
So a number of people are concerned about what's happening next year with the Comrades Marathon, because the 2026 Comrades Marathon entries are officially sold out. I mean, can you believe it? And there are a few people that didn't make it on time, but there are others that managed to make it on time. And so many people are concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to run next year. So I've invited Alan Dallas, who is the general manager at Comrades Marathon, just to chat to us about what we can expect next. Alan, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning to you and to all your listeners. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, so first of all, congratulations, because this is quite historic. In less than 10 hours, you've got the 2026 Comrades entries completely wiped out. I managed to enter about 6 minutes before the announcement was made that the entries are out. So I'm so glad that I was able to do it at that time. But I know of many other people who couldn't enter. What happens next then? Will you be opening another phase of entries?
Yes, so look, that was, we knew the demand is going to be high for the 2026 edition of the Comrades Marathon, although we didn't anticipate it to sell out this fast. This is an historical moment for the Comrades Marathon. We've never sold entries this fast. But there is one more opportunity for runners that have missed this window, and that is during our substitution process, which takes place in March and April next year.
Mm-hmm.
So runners need to keep a careful eye on our social media platforms from around the end of February going into early March, because any runners that have entered now and that will either not qualify or injured or for whatever other reason will not be participating next year, but they do have an entry. Those runners between the 16th to the 30th of March will put their entries up for substitution.
Mm-hmm.
And then the runners that didn't get an entry and would still like to run, their opportunity to snatch up one of those available substitution entries. That period runs from the 1st of April to the 15th of April 2026.
Okay.
So they have in that window, but again, they have to act fast. If I look at what happened for the 2025 Comrades Marathon during the substitution window, I think we had just over 1,000 entries, and they were snapped up within the first day or two as well.
Yeah.
So we ask runners to be ready to go, ready to pay, and from 1st of April when that window opens.
Yeah. How many entries are you sitting on now?
22,000.
22,000. Why is the 2026 Comrades so popular and in demand?
So look, the Comrades Marathon as a brand is extremely popular. It always has been, and I think post the COVID pandemic, road running really has taken off and become even more popular. You see it with a lot of the 10-kilometer events around the country and even some of the marathons as well, how popular they are with the running community. But the Comrades Marathon is always looked at as that pinnacle event or that bucket list event that runners want to tick off. So that's the one aspect. Of course, our marketing initiatives and all our social media posts, etc., also that creates a bit of a hype as well. And then when the running community starts sharing that also helps to fuel spreading the news as well. But then the other thing that is in the background at the moment, which is hovering and exciting for runners that's coming up, is the 100th running of the Comrades Marathon in 2027. Correct.
Yeah.
So runners, if I use novices as an example, if they've now secured an entry for the 2026 Comrades Marathon, it will be their first Comrades. And how special would it be to get your back-to-back medal in the 100th or centenary race in 2027? The same goes for runners that are going for their green number. If they've done 9 or 19, they're going for their double green, etc. Those runners also potentially then can be getting that. Yeah. So there's lots of various milestones, etc., that runners want to achieve.
Thank you, Alan Dallas. Thank you so much for making time for us. He's the general manager at Comrades Marathon. Congratulations once again. 22,000 runners. The entries were sold out, guys, in less than 10 hours. So if you missed that opportunity, keep your eye out on substitution. It's going to be happening from the 16th to the 30th of March next year.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota, 1 to 3 p.m.
We are talking about your teenagers, how we can help them ace their exams by studying smarter.
What we recommend is being able to do short quizzes that are topic-based and then identify exactly what you are struggling with as a student. And then when you find what you're struggling with, revise, go over that section.
Lynn Beachy, Head Chief Executive Officer of Chase Education Solutions.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Mabota.
Let's walk the talk. This is the story of our Nando's Flame Grilled Chicken, marinated for 24 hours in our unique peri-peri recipe. Kissed by fire, full of flavor, perfectly grilled. And like any story, this story of our full peri-peri chicken has two sides. Yours to choose, yours to share. Enjoy the Nando's full and two sharing meal. That's our full chicken and two sharing sides of your choice for only 277 Rand.
Unlock exciting bonus prizes when you top up your Betway account with a Betway Bucks voucher. From millions in cash and bonuses to extra bets and so much more, every top up is a chance to score big. Head over to leading retailers including Pick n Pay, Checkers, Pep Stores, and Incredible Connection and top up with Betway today. Terms and conditions apply. Betway is licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 are permitted to gamble. South African Responsible Gambling Program toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710. Winners know when to stop.
To celebrate 25 years of helping you live the Premier life, FNB Premier is giving you a chance to win a 14-day European tour experience and other cool monthly prizes. Open any FNB Premier account from September to 31 December 2025. Switch your salary, swipe or tap a minimum of 2,000 Rand per month for 3 months straight. Spend and win with FNB Premier. FNB, help changes everything. TCs and competition rules apply. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
7 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Clem, Brown Mogotsi. Is it not possible for the commission to subpoena the guy? That way, you're not giving him any more time. You're not giving him a chance to buy time or whatever it is that he's alleged to be doing. Get this testimony over and done with as soon as possible so that we can hear what he's got to say and then come on. Thank you. Fezi, Albertine.
Clement, good morning. On your question about the Deputy Minister, another Deputy Minister appearing before the committee in Parliament, I think it's still necessary just for us and for them to show how incompetent that entire ministry has been. I mean, last week we learned that Deputy Minister Castle Matal had not signed a performance agreement, and I can almost bet you that this minister is also going to say that she did not sign a performance agreement. So let them come just to show how incompetent that whole ministry is. On your question about Brown Mogotsi, I think that guy is just taking chances. I think he's losing. Mzagaza used to have a song saying he's losing. Brown Mogotsi is losing. Greg in Klerksdorp.
Yeah, Clement. Greg, I think, I honestly think it's a waste of time bringing in the other deputy minister. I think if really they were trying to push for us to hear from a deputy minister, one was sufficient. Now you're bringing in another one who's going to tell us probably the same thing. And remember, there's a target that the parliamentary, there's a deadline, that's what I mean to say. There's a deadline that the parliamentary inquiry is working under. And by the time that they reach that deadline, would they have spoken to all the significant figures in this story? That's what I'm worried about. And I just hope that they can concentrate more on people that are going to bring about value, and they're going to help us understand and uncover the truth in as far as the allegations that have been made, get to the bottom of that. Otherwise, we're wasting time hearing from deputy ministers who are telling you about the constitution that you already know as members of parliament. And they're telling you about what they knew, what they didn't know. No, we've heard from Senzo Mkhunu. He told us what he's done, right? If you heard from the first deputy minister, why do you need another one? We need to hear from their key people. IDEC head is only coming in when? I think on Wednesday. That's the IDEC head, or on Thursday. Those are the people we need to hear from, because there are serious claims that have been made against them, and they've got to come and defend themselves or set the record straight. And maybe I'm wrong, but let's talk tomorrow on the open line. If today you hear anything so significant and groundbreaking that you didn't know about from this deputy minister, I'd like to hear about it. Otherwise, I really think it's a waste of time.
The Brown Mogotsi incident happened last night about less than 300 meters from where I live, and it was witnessed by these night guards who actually related the story this morning to us around 5:30 as we were walking towards the bus stop, that the man was shaky, like the car was shot more than 5 bullets, and he was very shaky, even peed on himself. Like, I'm talking a story that was related to me by a guy who witnessed the whole thing in Phosphorus Extension 25.
Good morning, Mr. Manyathela. Hamilton here in Springs. I think the ANC guys wants to silence Mogotsi, because Mogotsi has a lot to offer. Since he mentioned that uzokhala madoda, so now they're trying to silence him. I think they missed, or whoever they sent is an amateur. He missed. I don't think that Brown Mogotsi staged this, but let's wait and see. We can't wait for him to come and testify at the Matlanga Commission. Hamilton here in Springs, last town.
If you still remember, got 3 police there or Limpopo or N1, Babatwala accident in Centurion. There's no any accident against around here. Actually, there was no any tow truck. You can sort this accident. If you remember, even today, I'm going to tell you, this Brown Mogotsi play games. The guy was involved with the money, the ANC member. They can drive that car. That car is worth 20,000, 25,000. Even me, I can buy with my salary.
I'm Samela Kelboy, an actress and mom to 3 lovely kids. I worry about how sugar can make them sick. Drinking sugary drinks could lead to diabetes, heart disease, and obesity as they get older. Diabetes is one of the top causes of death in South Africa. I'm joining the fight to demand government puts our health ahead of greedy industry profits. Government must act now. Protect public health. Increase the health tax on sugary drinks, tobacco, and alcohol. Sign the petition on heala.org. That's HEALA.org.
Congratulations to the latest Powerball Plus multi-millionaire who scooped over 6 million rand on Friday after playing on their banking app. So play Powerball and Powerball Plus for 23 million rand in total estimated jackpots this Tuesday, and you could be next. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sviso Zulu. Police say a team is being put together to investigate an attempted hit on controversial Northwest businessman and ANC backer Brown Mogotsi. A red VW Polo Mogotsi was travelling in last night allegedly came under a hail of bullets by men driving a white bakkie along the N3 highway towards Vosloorus on the East Rand. Mogotsi's name has featured prominently in both the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry as well as Parliament's ad hoc committee, which are both probing allegations of corruption in the criminal justice system. Oren Singh reports.
EWN understands that the red VW Polo Mogotsi was allegedly travelling in at the time of the shooting is not the regular vehicle he uses. Mogotsi's lawyers are currently talking to police about the incident that occurred late last night. The Northwest ANC backer is currently wanted by police in connection with a search and seizure operation conducted at his business premises last month. Police are searching for digital devices belonging to Mogotsi in relation to an ongoing investigation. However, despite claiming he would hand over his devices to police last month, Mogotsi remains elusive, with police searching for him. In a voice note circulating on WhatsApp, someone can be heard claiming that members of JMPD attended to the shooting scene and were taking Mogotsi away.
Brown Mogotsi is here. The vehicle has been shot. So JMPD is also standing off with us. I think they want to take him. I'm not sure where they're taking him, but JMPD is taking.
EWN has approached JMPD for comment. Oren Singh, Eyewitness News.
Embattled crime intelligence boss Dumsane Khumalo is back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning, more than a month after he fell ill. Khumalo testified for 2 days in late September before falling ill on the morning of October 1st, just minutes before he was expected to continue with his testimony. It's reported that he was rushed to hospital but released shortly after and was recovering from home. It remains unclear what Khumalo was medically treated for. Khumalo was the third witness to testify before the commission following the testimonies of his close allies, National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula and KZN Police Boss Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. He previously testified about the success of the Political Killings Task Team in the work they were doing under his command. In Cape Town, the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption is resuming today with Deputy Police Minister Poli Bushielo testifying. Bushielo's appearance comes after the second Deputy Minister in the department, Casel Matale, gave evidence last week. Bushielo is expected to provide the committee with information on the current state of policing in the country and her knowledge of the disbanding of the Political Killings Task Team by Senzo Mchunu. Babalon Denze reports.
The Parliament Ad Hoc Committee will resume today with more evidence on the responsibilities of Deputy Ministers and the powers delegated to them. Last week, Deputy Minister Casel Matale revealed that he had not been delegated any powers by Senzo Mchunu since his appointment a year ago. He also told the committee that he was not informed about the directive to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Acting Minister Feroz Kachalia, who is expected to appear after Bushielo, told the Police Committee yesterday that the Madlanga Commission and Ad Hoc Committee will help expose the rot in the police.
But the Madlanga Commission and the Audit Committee is going to cast an eye on the darkness, on the problems that we face in South African policing, and it will present us with the difficult moments.
The next set of witnesses will include Mchunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Nkabinde, as well as controversial businessman Brown Mogotsi. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
A security specialist has been arrested for bypassing G20 security protocols at Nasrec. It's understood the operations director of a security firm was attempting to prove that South Africa doesn't have sufficient measures in place for the upcoming G20 Leaders Summit. The man was arrested yesterday for trespassing. South Africa assumed the G20 presidency at the end of last year, making it the first African nation to chair the bloc of developed and developing economies. Noukayam Mtambo reports.
Johannesburg will hold the final meeting of global leaders, closing out the year-long presidency this month. Heads of state from the G20 countries will meet at Nasrec for 2 days to deliberate on the key policy points. This includes inclusive economic growth, the debt crisis in emerging markets, geopolitical tensions, and climate change. High-level security measures are already being put in place for the Leaders' Summit. Deputy Government spokesperson William Baloyi says the attempt to test the security protocols has backfired.
The law enforcement agencies are more than ready to ensure the security of all delegates to the G20 Leaders' Summit.
Baloyi says since taking over the G20 presidency, South Africa has already hosted more than 130 prep meetings without any incident. Nogukhanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
And lawyers for U.S. aviation giant Boeing and the families of victims of a fatal Ethiopian Airlines crash will give opening statements today in the first civil trial stemming from the disaster. The legal proceedings began yesterday with the selection of an 8-person jury who will hear the case concerning the March 10, 2019 flight that went down 6 minutes after departing Addis Ababa for Nairobi, killing all 157 people on board. Family members of 155 victims filed lawsuits between 2019 and 2021 alleging wrongful doing by the Boeing company. Boeing has said that it's deeply sorry for the Ethiopian Airlines crash and for a separate MAX crash on Lion Air that killed 189 people on a domestic flight in Indonesia in 2018. Gold is trading at $3,978.76 an ounce. The rand is at 17.36 to the dollar, 22.78 to the pound, 19.98 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.70 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is right as you approach Albertina Sisulu Road. Delays coming out of the Soweto Highway while traveling in Kelvin. We still have got those roadworks taking place along the N3 North, and they are causing delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Police say a team is being established to investigate an attempted hit on controversial Northwest businessman and ANC backer Brown Mogotsi.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702. So much happening this morning, hey? Brown Mogotsi is still nowhere to be found. There's still no trace of him. Remember, he promised that he's going to come open a case this morning. And Atlenda Mati earlier told us that we're still waiting for him. Well, he's nowhere to be found. At the Madlanga Commission, the head of crime intelligence, Dumisani Khumalo, is back. Remember, they had to suspend his testimony because on his second day he fell ill. He's back and continuing with his testimony. And then at the parliamentary inquiry, we're expecting the other deputy minister, Bushielo, to testify. So that's what's happening so far on the news front. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to have a conversation on our World of Work feature about grief when you are in the workplace. How do you deal with that, and how do we create environments in the workplace that are conducive for people to still be able to deal with their grief? And then at 11:30, we'll do our health and wellness feature. But right now, we start our conversation with Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, the Minister of Health.
Let's walk the talk.
This is Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Minister, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Morning, Clement, and morning to the listeners of 702.
I know you are quite busy. You are going to be hosting. How many ministers are you hosting today from all over the world as part of the G20?
Well, G20 means 20 ministers.
All of them get represented, or they send their representatives?
It differs. Some send deputy ministers. Others are represented by their embassies. Yes, others like the US, as you know,
Yeah.
they always play these games. They told us that they are sending some senior officials in the department. So
Okay.
we'll see.
We'll see. I want us to start off with the proposals that have been made by the department, the funding proposals to implement this long-awaited national health insurance, because there are a few people that have raised some concerns about them. My understanding is that part of the proposal is to scrap medical tax credits, redirect subsidies to civil servants for medical aid, and there's also the talk of the introduction of payroll taxes to establish a national health insurance. Can you first clarify if these indeed are the proposals towards funding the NHI and what informed them, if that's the case?
These are not my proposals, Clement. They are in the Act. It's Section 49 of the Act. When Parliament passed the Act, there has been this section. It was passed with the Act. When the President signed it into law, all those things were there. What happened last week is that the Appropriations Committee in Parliament called us to come and clarify that. So we're just reading from the Act. We're not coming with anything new. I saw in the media it was as if we are coming with new proposal which are just, catching from our heads. It's the Act. It's the implementation of the Act. Because that Section 49 were proposals. In the final analysis, the person who will take decisions on that is the Minister of Finance, is the Treasury.
Okay.
But coming to the issue of tax credits, that one I can clearly tell you with my eyes closed. We have been looking at it for ages, and we are not the only ones. Even during the time when the GNU started, the leader of the DA, Minister Steenhuisen, wrote a letter to the president to propose what he regarded as alternative to NHI. That means instead of NHI, this is what you must do. He made 6 proposals. On top of that list was this medical tax credits, the rebates, that they must go away. But unlike us, he gave a figure and say anybody earning above this should not be getting this tax credit. That's his first proposal among the other 5, which I don't think is necessary to mention. But even during the debate on, you remember, maybe let me say it's a war, about 2% VAT increase. Yes, quite a number of parties were proposing that instead of increasing VAT, if you are looking for source of money, you can look at the medical tax credits and abolish them. The reason that it is so, Clement, is let's look at the origin. What was the rationale of putting tax rebates or medical tax credit on medical aids? The reason was that, and it didn't start with us. It has been there right throughout the apartheid era, since medical aids were there. The logic, which I believe, I can tell you upright, was wrong, was that it was believed that if you encourage as many citizens as possible to join medical aids, and then you entice them with tax credits, you entice them, or if you join a medical aid, will give you tax rebates or tax credit. If you do so, many people will line up to join medical aids. And when they are sick, the state does not have to take responsibility for them. Because they've been given something. They must go and buy their own health elsewhere because the state has given them what is due to them. It's more or less like in the Bible about the prodigal son, if you remember, who told the father that you give me everything that belongs to me. I leave you alone. You don't have to take care of me. You'll take care of the other children. Me, you'll have given me my portion. And he went away, but he
ended up coming back. Yeah.
Well, now to believe that a government anywhere in the world will have a right not to take care of its citizens when they are sick because it gave them tax credit, it's not practical. Nor is it desirable. It was a very wrong thing to do. That's why they are always being targeted.
So what about the payroll taxes then? How would that work?
Well, it does not have to work, actually. It doesn't have to be. We're just showing several sources, if you understand what I mean. For instance, I believe one of the sources we are looking at, apart from medical tax credits, are the medical aid subsidies. Everybody who draws their salary from the state, everybody, starting with the president to the lowest worker, as long as you draw your salary from the state, the president, teachers, doctors, the judiciary, the police, the army, all the government officials, as long as you draw your salary from the state and you are on a medical aid, you've got to get a subsidy. And the subsidy is the heaviest for members of parliament and the judiciary, the judges only, not including magistrate. There, the subsidy is very heavy. I'm very heavily subsidized to be on a medical aid, that I must tell you. And
I get subsidized as ministers?
Of course, I'm telling you, everybody who draws their salary from the state get heavily subsidized. I told to you, as long as your salary is from the state, you get heavily subsidized. And that subsidy, when we count it, before the recent salary increment, is 70 billion. 70 billion. The medical aid credits are 33 billion. This is the money that leaves the state to go and subsidize those people. The 70 billion is those people who work for the state. The 33 is anybody, including you, whoever you work for, as long as you have got a medical aid. So I'm summarizing to you that every year, 70 billion rand leaves treasury because it's put in your salary. Every year, 33 billion rand leaves SARS, the revenue service. It's 103 billion, which is due to those people who are well-to-do. That's why my argument last week to Dr. Maimani's Appropriations Committee, I was saying this is the only department, health, where you help the rich and leave the poor. Because in other departments, like let's look at NEFSAS, which is in the news. There is a score of about salaries, how much you earn. If you earn about a particular level, you don't win. As I was sitting there, somebody from Limpopo was phoning me about a medical and a pharmacy student who he says have failed those scores and they don't have bursaries because they said you are, the summation of the income from your parents is such that you can't get this bursary. That's NEFSAS. In other words, the more you earn, the chances are high that you are not going to be helped. You go to SASSA, we do the same thing. There is
Why isn't the case with the subsidies?
You go to human settlement. When you build an RDP house, we can't build it for you. But you come to health. Is the opposite.
Why is it the opposite then?
That's exactly what we want to change.
Why haven't we changed it? I mean, that's quite obvious, Minister, that the higher you get paid as a government employee, why must you be so heavily subsidized?
How do you say it's obvious when people have taken us to court for doing the same, for saying the same thing? I'm in court now. There are 8 court cases to stop these changes.
In the last 30 years, when did we try to make the changes?
The issue of NHI started coming in
10 years ago?
2007.
So it's been a while.
Yes, it has been a while that we've been on this, since 2007. Remember the white paper on this issue was when I was in health for the first time. I went to Home Affairs and finished the whole term there, and I came back. Only then was the act passed. It's something that took place over a very long period of time because it needs a lot of heavy consultation. It's a big change. It's a big transformative change, which many people don't want. So to you, you say it's obvious, but people are in court.
Who's fighting it?
Yeah?
Who's fighting the changes?
They are. The first one in court was Solidarity, who said it's unconstitutional. The second one was BHF, the Board of Healthcare Funders, that represent medical aids. The third one was Health Funders Association. Both of them, Board of Healthcare Funders and Health Funders Association, they represent medical aids. Then there was HASA, Hospital Association of South Africa, representing private hospital. Then there's South African specialist group representing some specialists, and.
So about 6
There are
people
8.
that are 8 that have taken you to court.
Yes.
How much money
They are not
you?
people, they are
Institutions, yeah.
institutions, yes.
That must be costing you a lot of money as the department to mount a defense.
It does. It does. And what we have done, we have said each one of them, you see what they were doing. To me, it was very strategic, deliberately. One, I believe these are the same people who clubbed together to cooperate, but they look like separate organizations. Because what was happening is that one goes to court, then we are forced to answer. We are forced to send in answering affidavits to court. They read them and look at what we said, then send the other one. When the other one attacks, he's attacking our responses to the affidavit of the first one. You can see. Then we have to respond to him too. Then another one comes in. They were came one by one. So we went to the judge, the High Court in Gauteng, Gauteng North. We went to the judge and say, look, these people are attacking more or less the same case, the same principle, the same idea. Why don't you consolidate the cases so that make it one and it be heard? It can be heard over many days or a week or whatever, but it's one case at least comprising many people. They went to court to oppose that. So the hearing is in February next year about whether this case must be consolidated into one or we hear 8 different cases.
So here's the question then, Minister, for clarity. Are we sitting with a situation where we've got the NHI, but there's still no certainty about what the true cost of this national health insurance will be? There's still no certainty even about how this is going to be funded, because we're sitting with the options here.
No, I can't say this. Let's start with the funding. Clement, you need to understand the history of this whole thing, what you are dealing with. Yeah, the funding part, let's start with there. Because people say there's no money in the country to fund NHI. Now, the World Health Organization has declared that countries must spend at least 5% of their GDP on health. It's not about the budget only, it's the GDP. That means any expenditure on health, be it you waking up to go to a pharmacy and buy something, be you going to see a doctor or a public hospital or a clinic, wherever, that money is computed. And they look at what percentage of GDP is this. And it is believed that globally, if a country reaches 5%, then the money that's available will cover at least all the citizens, or at least an extraordinary majority of citizens. Now, South Africa is already at 8.5% of the GDP, which is very high. We are more or less in the same bracket as Europe, which is between 9.5 and 10% of the GDP. That money, 8.5% of GDP of South Africa, translate into 570 billion. That's more than half $1 trillion. It is the money that is available for health in South Africa.
But that's for health in general, right?
What do you mean
like
in general?
there are competing needs. So there's issues of infrastructure.
No, I'm saying the amount of money that is spent on health in the country.
Yes.
It's 570 billion. Yes, it's for everything.
Yes.
It's for health care of the nation. It's 5 billion, but it's divided into public and the private sector. Now, the problem we're faced with, which NHI was trying to solve, is that in this 570 billion, 51% goes to only 14% of the population. And the remaining 49% must support 86% of the population. This is where our biggest problem is, which we need to solve. Yesterday, when UNAIDS, together with the Nobel Prize laureate, Professor Joseph Stiglitz, they were launching a report on inequality and pandemics. They've done a study to show that inequality brings a lot of diseases and pandemics in the world, which we are not able to solve. Now, this is one of the gross inequalities that we are faced with. So we are saying, if this gross inequality is brought to an end, in the way I've told you, tax credit, subsidies, etc., the money will be enough to cover a large number of the population, if not the whole population. And you can't just say there's money around. You have to make rules You have got to make laws about how it's going to happen, and you have got to amend the manner in which people take care of their health. For instance, just to give you an example what I'm talking about, at the moment, our health care is very curative. Very, very curative. Private health care is 100% curative. Public, we're trying, but whereas healthcare systems must be preventative. You must prevent diseases, promote health, immunize people, stop others from getting any disease. You can't just say, look, just pay me, just join a medical aid. When you are sick, I've got everything to fix you. Healthcare system doesn't work like that. Number two, our healthcare system is top, bottom. Whenever you are sick, you start at the bottom. We have got professors or very senior specialists who treat flu. It shouldn't happen like that. It shouldn't happen like that. It's not, just to give you an example, it's not like that in law. You have never had anybody go into senior counsel without starting with an attorney. It's an attorney you go to who said this case is bigger than me. Yeah. The other cases, if somebody stole your gold, for instance, that will never reach senior counsel. An attorney can deal with it. And a small magistrate court, very small at the corner of the country, can deal with that. That's not so in health. It starts right at the top. You have got very senior people who trained for many years treating mundane issues. And the NHI wanted to reform all those things. That is unfair to the country because it becomes too expensive.
Yeah.
Take, for instance, myself. You are aware that I've just done my 2 eye operations in a public hospital in St. John's at Bara. There were debates about this whole thing. Some were even saying I've put my own eyesight at risk by going to a public hospital because they believe I'm rich enough, I've got medical aid, which is true. I've got one of the most heavily subsidized medical aids. But they expected me to go and spend a lot of money, if you understand what I mean. Unnecessarily so. Now, we want to change such systems dramatically. The last example I can give you. In the past year, Bara, which is always in the news for quite a number of negative things, never the positive, even if they are there. Bara did 500 operations on the knee, replacing somebody's knee, and the hip and knee operations. Bara did 500 of them. These are huge operations to replace your whole hip or your whole knee, right? They will have cost maybe 143,000 for one person and 135,000 for one person if you go to a private hospital. But they will cost something like 18,000 if you go to a public hospital, if you understand what I mean. So there is a possibility of running a healthcare system that is affordable. If you go to do a circumcision now with a GP in Soweto, they will charge you between 1.5 to 1.8, 1,500 to 1,800. If you go to a private hospital, you are going to pay 15,000 to 18,000 for the same procedure. Now, these are the things we want to look at. Should the country run a healthcare system like that?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes now after 10 o'clock.
You thought binge watching hours of anime every weekend as a 39-year-old Zulu man would never pay off until your secret work crush said, "Do you know anything about Naruto?" Now, look at you. Origato and a Sansei Sitore. Connected here, finding your favorites everywhere. Get the best Wi-Fi experience with prepaid fiber from OpenServe. No contracts, no credit checks. Ask your ISP for OpenServe fiber today. T's and C's apply.
South Africa, the vault may be closed, but the biggest moment of Swiper by Absa Rewards is still to come. This Friday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Binga, one lucky Absa Rewards member will drive away with a brand new Jayco J5 Vortex plus 3 months premium car insurance from Absa Insurance thanks to Absa Rewards. The countdown is on. Stay tuned this Friday on 702 Breakfast with Bongani Binga. Your story matters. Absa. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
The unexamined life is not worth living. Socrates' timeless wisdom reminds us of the power of introspection. At Plus 94 Research, we delve deep into data, uncovering insights that drive meaningful decisions. Our scientific methodologies transform questions into clarity. Don't just operate, understand. Don't just guess, know. Plus 94 Research, the science of decision making.
You can become a victim of a legal problem: wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
10:31, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. I'll take your calls as well on 011-883-0702 and your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. A man convicted of the murder of Stellenbosch University student Jesse Mitchell has been sentenced to life imprisonment. 20-year-old Rudolf Hafke was found guilty after he entered into a plea and sentencing agreement with the state. He confessed to Mitchell's murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances on the 16th of October last year, and the robbery with aggravating circumstances of another victim, Sikoma Dimba, also in Stellenbosch the previous day. Embattled crime intelligence boss Dumsani Khumalo is back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning, more than a month after he fell ill. Khumalo testified for 2 days in late September before falling ill on the morning of October 1st, just minutes after he was expected to continue with his testimony. And in Cape Town, the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption will resume today with Deputy Police Minister Polly Bushielo testifying. Bushielo's appearance comes after the second Deputy Minister in the department, Clement Manyathela, gave evidence last week. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11, or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we've got delays on the N3 North, and that's due to the roadworks that are taking place in the Kelvin area, and they're causing delays between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu interchange. Heading towards Alexandra, do expect heavier traffic volumes on the N3 South due to the same roadworks. While travelling on the Mark 1 North, we've got an accident right near Harton Drive. It's causing delays from Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic on the Mark 1 North between Boysons and the Crown interchange. While heading towards Amalgam, more delays along the M2 West between the Crown interchange and Main Riff Road. Roadworks are causing delays on the Golden Highway. This is if you're heading towards Freedom Park as well as Devlin areas. And the delays are as you come out of the N1 exit. Please be on the lookout there and drive with care. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
Who says everyday driving can't be très chic? Rent premium with Sani Sixt now. Own the stylish Citroen C3 later. Yes, that's 3 cars, 3 months, 3 chances to say ooh la la. Just book directly on sani.co.za. Call us or rent at any branch between 1 November and 31 January, and you're automatically entered into the draw. Bon voyage with Sani Sixt and win. T's and C's apply.
In a world where everything is instant, some things are worth slowing down for. You took the time to build a life of distinction. Every moment, every milestone, every decision. At Endware, we take the time to understand you. world and craft insurance solutions to protect it. Because true peace of mind is the greatest luxury of all. The right insurance starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindre.co.za. Indre Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
Your voice,
Your questions.
your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
25 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're in conversation with the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, and I've got your calls on 011-883-0702. I've got some of your questions on the YouTube line, on WhatsApp as well. Let's start with Nicholas, who's calling us from Newcastle. Nicholas, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Manyathela. How are you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, man. My name is Dr. Nicholas Mchali. I'm a Cuban trained. I was trained by the Department of Health from KZN. So now, Mr. Manyathela, if you remember the beginning of this year, I once called with regards to the unemployed, especially the bursary holders. We were trained by the Department of Health, but now the same department is failing to employ us. I'm sure the minister know about the issue of unemployment, especially us, because now we were trained by the same department. The department spent millions of rand in Cuba trying to train doctors, but now the same department is failing to employ us. It's almost a year now, but nothing.
When did you come back, Nicholas?
I came back in 2021. I completed my community service last year.
Okay. Nicholas in Newcastle, thank you so much for your call. Minister, I do remember there was a time there was a briefing and you were committing to hiring, if I'm not mistaken, 1,200 doctors, 200 nurses as well during your budget vote. Have you been able to go ahead with that?
Firstly, let me correct. It's not only Cuban trained doctors. It's all post-community service doctors, regardless of where they were trained. We could not employ them. And the biggest problem was this budgetary constraints, because health have suffered austerity for the past 10 years. But in the budget speech that the minister read this year, after the war about VAT and all that, he eventually read the budget speech. He said to take health out of austerity. He gave us 6.7 billion rand. We said as the National Health Council, the National Health Council is a statutory body chaired by the Minister of Health, consisting of all the MECs, the Surgeon General of South African Military Health Services, and SALGA. We sit together and we decided what must we do with this money. And the first thing we said, we'll hire the 1,200 doctors who are post-community service, who don't have salaries. But we have to wait for Treasury to distribute that money, because I wanted it as conditional grant. A conditional grant is the money which is given to the minister, and you give it to the province with conditions. But Treasury insisted on giving it as equitable share. Equitable share meaning it going into the province directly, and they can do, in terms of the law, they can do what they want with it. So in order to try and stop that, I wrote to all the premiers, informed them about this money, because it was divided, this 6.7 billion was divided into four. The first amount to hire this 1,200 doctors, 200 nurses, 250 health professionals. The second amount to absorb community health workers, 27,000 of them. The third amount to buy 1.4 million articles, beds, bassinets, linen, towels in hospital to spruce them up. And the last amount to pay for accruals, the people who, service providers who give us particular commodities we couldn't pay for. So I've just written to premiers, I think it's about 10 days ago, to say this money is going to come into our provincial budget. Please do the following with it, because we agreed at national level. We then also agreed that the adverts must not be done per province. The provinces must send us the adverts here, because the money is with them, meaning they are the ones who knows in their province how many doctors they can hire. When I checked by yesterday, they were left with a few provinces to bring in. Then we'll put the advert. We delayed because we had to wait for Treasury to transfer the money to provinces first. We couldn't just say advertise at national level when the province are not having the money.
What's the vacancy rate for doctors and nurses in public hospitals?
Oh, it's a difficult question for me. Because I need to go and look at PESAL. I can't just say it off my head. I have to look at PESAL because the vacancy rate is also a moving target. It depends at what time do you ask. You go to PESAL and check which posts have been filled and which have not. So I'm not able to answer that question right away, but I can go and check and give you the answer.
Fatima on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I'm still very much concerned about the level of corruption even when it comes to the NHI, because we have corruption that already exists within the department. You look at the hospitals, how much more would be up for grabs come the NHI. And of course, Minister, you know about what happened at Tembisa Hospital, 2 billion rand looted according to the SIU. Given the systematic nature of corruption in healthcare procurement, is the department considering an overhaul of how hospitals handle tenders and suppliers?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. We have actually already started. But I want to start here, Clement. There's no NHI in South Africa now. And you saw this corruption in Tembisa under the present system with no NHI. But funny, people blame NHI, which does not exist. Every time, even yesterday, there's a journalist who asked me, why are you talking about NHI when there's so much corruption? The corruption is now under the present system, under the present acts.
But it could happen during NHI too.
It could happen, but it has not happened.
Well, that's what the president said about COVID when we asked. He said there won't be corruption during COVID.
No. I don't know, because I don't know under what condition was he speaking. I'm speaking from the act of NHI, how we have put up the act and what is going to happen in terms of the finances, what boards, what committees, how do the public choose them, how do they account and all that. We have got all that. Now, let me come to the present situation about corruption. Yes, we immediately after the SIU reported, I called the SIU to have a workshop with my officials to find out in all the systems we are using, based on the finding of SIU, where could there have been a gap for somebody to steal? So we spent the whole day doing that. The next was to go to the National Health Council, which I've already mentioned, call all the MECs and their officials and their CFOs. We even included the biggest, the academic hospitals, to attend that meeting. SIU came again and presented what happened in Tembisa, step by step, and showed them where the gaps are. As I'm speaking, we have got a workshop coming in, I think it's in the next week or 10 days, for all the hospitals in the provinces first, their head offices, to say, look, this is where the gap was in Tembisa. But the other important thing is that if you read the SIU report, they say all the systems are there. They are there. But people decided to breach them deliberately, which means this was in the minds of people who had the criminal mind, if you understand what I mean, in both Tembisa Hospital and the Provincial Department of Health in Gauteng, because all of them were involved. The syndicates, the three syndicates of Maumela, Matlala, or whoever, they could not have achieved what they did without the cooperation. That is why one of the things we are doing is to go to concentrate on the people in the provincial department in Tembisa who did this. They've got their salaries and their pensions with us in the state. They've bought property. We're all targeting those. Should these people, if they go through DC and get fired, what must happen to their pensions? That money must be paid back, whether it is with Morgan Hangwane Maumela or whoever. It has to be paid back, and there ought to be consequences.
Yeah.
Now the workshops is to change. For instance, one of the things we identified, which was the method used, is that because there are always emergencies anyway in government, the law says that anything that is 500,000 or less, you don't have to go through a normal procurement process. You can just call for quotations. In other words, you call for companies to give you quotations, and you call for 3 quotations, and you look at which one is more affordable among the quotations. Now, we have found that what we're doing in Tembisa was just to go below the 500 and say 499. So it forces them to go for quotations to avoid normal procurement rules. And we have just got worried because Treasury has just increased that 1 million, which means we are going to see many 999s. So I raised this issue, even with the SIU and Treasury. Under what conditions should we go for these quotations? Because they cause problems, very serious problems. How do we avoid the quotations? But secondly, to look at the issue of endorsement. After all these procurement processes have gone through, somebody senior must endorse. At what level and how many people? Because to corrupt many people is very difficult. So those are the things we are looking at.
Are you looking at other hospitals as well? Because, I mean, you've said before that Tembisa is probably just the tip of the iceberg. And I wonder how many other hospitals or provinces are currently probably experiencing the same thing.
I don't want to say the tip of an iceberg because there are provinces hospitals in the country that are run very well. And I don't want to discourage them. There are those who are run very well, which don't have Tembisas, because it's not all the workers who are corrupt, Clement. Even in Tembisa, the person who allowed this corruption was the CEO, because he's the final accounting officer who signs off everything, if you understand what I mean. People don't just go to these quotations and procurement and buy. They've got to go to the CEO and show him. So it means he didn't pay due diligence. But we believe he was part of the syndicate. Unfortunately, he has passed on. And I was saying it might look evil. We must go for his estate. Now, if you check all the other hospitals, they've got CEOs who are not capable of this theft or who don't want to do this theft. And it will be unfair to point at them and say they are just like Tembisa.
But you do want to check if the syndicate is not operating in other hospitals.
Oh, yes. In fact, what we did was to ask the SIU, because these syndicates have already learned the modus operandi and they've corrected some officials, why shouldn't they be blacklisted? So that they don't do any dealings with government anymore. And we've got nobody to tempt officials into corruption. Or to induce them into corruption or to do corruption with them. So they told me it's only Treasury that can blacklist a company. And so SIU have sent the list to Treasury. We are waiting for that blacklisting. I then said, but in the meantime, what should happen? And we asked that SIU, because they've got this list of all these companies, must distribute them to provinces and the hospital, so that when the CEO, when they put documents in front of the CEO to finally approve, he can see that, oh, this is Clement Manyathela company. It is on that list of SIU, but they say he qualifies. Let me do further due diligence. They must, in other words, to be more alert. So I have asked for that list to be distributed. Obviously, people will say it's unfair because they've not been blacklisted. And you can't deny them a contract. But I want double due diligence for somebody who must take a decision as a CEO, sitting in an office, see that this is one of those companies. How did my officials allow them to go in? Was it legal? Let me go to check. And you dig deeper. You may actually find something.
Has this system of tenders really served us?
I don't think so.
So why are we not changing it?
I don't think so. They have been moved about how tenders must be changed, but Clement, that is beyond my pay grade, because it depends on the chief procurement officer, treasury, etc. But
I think it depends also on you. You've been the governing party. Don't you talk about these things as at NEC level to say, hey, comrades, you are stealing, man, in the government, and there are some public officials who are also stealing. Therefore, we need to tighten the screws.
Yeah, it is said. That's why the screws are being tightened.
But it's still
at
tender
the moment.
system.
But as I'm saying, the issues have been raised. I personally, I'm giving my feeling, I'll be very happy if we look at another system, not the tender. For instance, just to give you an example, I told you that we are going to buy 1.4 million articles in hospital. These are beds, electric beds, bassinet for kids, blankets, sheets, etc. As a chairperson of the National Health Council, I demanded that we don't go for a tender for this, because in Silverton, here in Pretoria, there's a project established by the Department of Labor and Employment, which project is run by disabled people. They produce these things. Linen, sheets, even theater gear and all that. I say, why can't we buy from them? Last week, we went to the Minister of Finance and say, can you give us a letter exempting the Minister of Employment of Labor from going through the tender when these disabled people can do this work and you can buy from them? And there's an agreement that must happen. So bit by bit, we'll move away from tenders wherever we can.
9 minutes now before 11.
Part of the 702 family.
Hi, my name is Mbalenhle Felicity Ngubane, and I'm from Johannesburg. I'm staying in Malaysia currently. 702 helped me through my depression, my divorce, COVID. So I'm very, very happy that 702 helped me through all of those years. And I'm still going to continue listening to you guys from the morning to the evening. And yeah, thank you, 702.
Welcome to our 702 family. Let's walk the talk.
Lock into roaring rugby action this season with Hollywood Bets. Bet 50 Rand or more on any Vodacom United Rugby Championship fixture, and you could win a share of 300,000 Rand in cash, betting vouchers or prizes. This includes Smeg bar fridges, macro vouchers, a Sharks captain run, or a player circle experience. Only the toughest team will prevail. Bet now and let the rugby rumble begin.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actis-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
Let's walk the talk.
This is Clement Manyathela
on 702.
5 minutes before 11 o'clock. Minister, you spoke that, in fact, you're going to have a meeting with G20 ministers today. And I want to find out...
On Thursday.
Is that on Thursday?
Yes.
Okay. How are you... are there commitments that have already been made so far? And what are you going to be leveraging as the Minister of Health using this platform?
What commitments?
What do you agree on? So when they meet, often
okay,
when I go and I work at this G20, there's often agreements around the G20 ministers.
I understand, yeah. What we did, every country that becomes the president of G20 does that. What we did was to choose 5 priorities and sell them to G20. And throughout the years, we've been having meetings about each priority. on which we believe there must be an agreement and a declaration signed and passed by ministers of health that we are committed to this thing. The first one is the issue of universal health coverage, which in South Africa we call NHI. That there ought to be universal health coverage if we are to solve all our health problems. To this end, there's going to be a very high impact panel discussing universal health coverage, because there's now a phenomena called financialization of health, whereby health is now bit by bit being regarded as a marketable commodity. A marketable commodity is only available to those who have got money, not to the rest of the population. So we're going to have the Director General of the World Health Organization. We're going to have Joseph Stiglitz, who is a Nobel Prize winner, who was there yesterday when this thing was launched. We are going to have Professor Robert Hayes from London School of Economics. We're going to have the Deputy Executive Director of OECD, Organization for Economic and Development, and Oxfam. I'm sure you know Oxfam, a British NGO that deals mostly with poverty. They are going to show their studies about how financializing health and making it a commodity, how it affects population around the world. So that's going to be part of the debate on UHC. The second one is pandemic preparedness. We came through a major pandemic. HIV/AIDS, of course, we're already used to it, but we saw what happened during COVID. The question is, if another pandemic comes, how should the world act with each other? Not against each other as it was happening with COVID. And then the issue of human resources for health, which is so unequal in many countries, between developed and developing countries, between public and private. Then the scourge of non-communicable diseases. What common rules do we pass to stem the scourge of non-communicable disease? That means disease of lifestyle like diabetes, high blood pressure, etc., which are caused mostly by practices of human beings, by business, by commodities, by commerce and all that. Like you are aware, we have got a bill in Parliament about keeping cigarette advertising, and there are people who are against that. So what will G20 say about that? And lastly, science, innovation, and local production. Because there's a tendency of big countries to hog production in their own country so that we buy pharmaceuticals there. They do everything in their power to make sure that smaller countries cannot manufacture.
And they're expensive as well.
Of course. Of course, they are very expensive. Just look at this lenacapavir, which you are introducing next year to prevent HIV/AIDS. It's a game changer. Lenacapavir in the US is selling for $28,000 for one person. That's close to R500,000. Sold by the company called Gilead, you know. So we had to speak to them to say, but this medicine is available, it can change the world, but it's not available because of the price. So there were negotiations with the Global Fund to say they must give 2 million doses at a reasonable price. They did so. But in September, when we were in New York, the former president of the US, Bill Clinton, he has formed what is called CHAI, the Clinton Health Access Initiative. Him and an organization called Unitate, which specializes in funding projects, and a company called Dr. Reddy's Laboratories and VETS, RHI, they have come to work together, whereby Dr. Reddy's will produce a generic that will not sell, not for $28,000, but for $40, which will then make it affordable. And those are some of the things we are doing. How did that happen? Under World Trade Organization rules, when a company come up with a medicine like this Gilead company, they are given 20 years intellectual property right. Meaning for 20 years, nobody can enter that. It's their monopoly. But they've been pressurized to give what you call voluntary licensing. And they've given Gilead a voluntary license. So we are saying, give a pharmaceutical company in South Africa a voluntary license so that it can manufacture at a reasonable price. So those are some of the battles that we'll put on the table in G20 and see if countries agree on them.
Minister, there's actually a ruling in court on Operation Dudula and I want to get your reaction on that after the news. Is it fine before I release you?
Yeah.
Okay, it's 11 o'clock.
It's amazing what help can do. Help can take you from smart money moves to smart gadgets and household must-haves. With an FNB Premier Credit or Fusion card, get up to 40% back in eBucks on devices and appliances. Open any FNB Premier account today, celebrating 25 years of helping you live the Premier life. FNB, help changes everything. TC's own rules apply while stocks last. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized financial services and credit provider.
Corporate Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporate Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Hipia. Their CEO, Gift Nkuna, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporate Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Before you throw it away, think again. Join the Glass Recycling Company's Recycling Challenge this November. Collect your glass bottles and jars, drop them at your nearest glass bank, and help your city climb the leaderboard. Each bottle counts towards a cleaner South Africa. Post your recycling pics on Facebook with hashtag Glass Recycling Challenge and stand a chance to win 5,000 Rand. Let's shatter records and clean up our cities with the Glass Recycling Company. T's and C's apply.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. A man convicted of the murder of Stellenbosch University student Jesse Mitchell has been sentenced to life imprisonment. 20-year-old Rudolf Hafker was found guilty after he entered into a plea and sentencing agreement with the state. He confessed to Mitchell's murder and robbery with aggravating circumstances on the 16th of October last year, and the robbery with aggravating circumstances of another victim, Sikoma Dimba, also in Stellenbosch the previous day. Lauren Isaacs has more.
19-year-old Stellenbosch University student Jesse Mitchell was robbed and stabbed in the neck while riding his bicycle in Borchard Street, Stellenbosch, on his birthday in October last year. The court heard the offences were committed with malice and forethought, and the accused preyed on victims he regarded as weak, vulnerable and blindsided. In a victim impact statement, the deceased's grandmother, Christina Mitchell, wrote that the day tragedy struck continues to haunt her. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
Embattled crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning, more than a month after he fell ill. Khumalo testified for 2 days in late September before falling ill on the morning of October the 1st, just minutes before he was expected to continue with his testimony. It's reported that he was rushed to hospital but was released shortly after and was recovering from home. It remains unclear what Khumalo was medically treated for. In Cape Town, the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee investigating police corruption will resume today with Deputy Police Minister Paulie Bushielo testifying. Bushielo's appearance comes after the second Deputy Minister in the department, Castle Matale, gave evidence last week. Bushielo is expected to provide the committee with information on the current state of policing in the country and her knowledge of the disbanding of the Political Killings Task Team by Senzo Mchunu. Babalo Ndenza reports.
The Parliament Ad Hoc Committee will resume today with more evidence on the responsibilities of deputy ministers and the powers delegated to them. Last week, Deputy Minister Clement Manyathela revealed that he had not been delegated any powers by Senzo Mchunu since his appointment a year ago. He also told the committee that he was not informed about the directive to disband the Political Killings Task Team. Acting Minister Feroz Kuchalia, who is expected to appear after Bushielo, told the Police Committee yesterday that the Madlanga Commission and Ad Hoc Committee will help expose the rot in the police.
But the Madlanga Commission and the Audit Committee is going to cast an eye on the darkness, on the problems that we face in South African policing, and it will present us with the difficult moments.
The next set of witnesses will include Mchunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Nkabinde, as well as controversial businessman Brown Mogotsi. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News.
And a search operation is underway on a Himalayan peak in northeast in Nepal following the deaths of 7 climbers. It's understood the 5 foreign and 2 Nepalese were part of a group that set out over an hour before an avalanche hit the peak yesterday. Last week's cyclone Monta triggered heavy rain and snowfall across Nepal, leaving people stranded in the Himalayas. Autumn is a popular season for trekkers and climbers in Nepal as weather conditions and visibility are better, but the risk of severe weather and avalanches remains. Gold is trading at $3,978.76 an ounce. The rand is at 17.36 to the dollar, 22.78 to the pound, 19.98 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $64.70 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we still have got that accident on the M1 North. It's right near the Killarney Bends. It's causing delays coming out of Empire Road. There's also queuing traffic along the Mike 1 North. This is as you leave Boyson's Road towards the Crown turn off. This is due to the roadworks that are taking place along the route.
A partly cloudy day in store for Gauteng with afternoon isolated showers and thunder showers expected. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 22 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: a man convicted of the murder of Stellenbosch University student Jesse Mitchell has been sentenced to life imprisonment.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thanks for staying with us. I've asked the Minister of Health, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi, to stay for a couple of minutes just to get his reaction to the judgment that's just come out of court. The court has declared Operation Dudula's conduct as unlawful, and now the movement has been interdicted from blocking clinics. Remember, they've often gone to clinics, they've tried to say foreign nationals should not be allowed in, but the locals and South African citizens must be prioritized. They've argued that we've only targeted illegal foreign nationals. Minister, I just want to get your response to that, because this is a concern that was raised by the health department about their conduct.
Yeah, well, this was to be expected. I personally told them that. Remember, I did meet Operation Dudula, and I came public about what we discussed. And I told them that whatever concerns they have, some of which might be legitimate, by the way, but I said they are going about using a wrong method to achieve their goals. I even told them, because they said to me, they can accept or understand that doctors and nurses have taken an oath. They can't turn anybody away. But they were asking me to instruct the clerks who are issuing the files that anybody who doesn't have any papers or any identity or documentation cannot get a file in the hospital. They must send such people away. I told them that I happen to have been in Home Affairs. I know that 11% of the South Africa's population do not have any documents. I'm talking here of South Africans, not illegal immigrants. Because on the continent of Africa, we've got this problem of civil registration and vital statistics. And we know, we do have figures, that number one on registration on the continent is Egypt. They are 98% registered, which means there are 2% Egyptians who don't have any document. Number two is South Africa, which is 89% documented, which means 11% of South Africans don't have documents. So it means they too will be turned away from health services. So I told them that method cannot work, and there are many reasons why it can't work. So I'm sure the court is just legally or officially, or in terms of their power, finalizing exactly what we've been knowing.
Yeah. Are you having conversations, though, Minister, with the governments where most of the foreign nationals who are using our public hospitals are from, or even the embassies for that matter. Is there a conversation around how we can sit and find a solution? Because the reality is their civilians are here. Whether they're here illegally, that's a conversation we can have, but they're using resources. Is there no way we can work together on this? Because that's costing money.
Personally, I don't think they're interested in helping us. I must be very honest. Because what is biting them? It is South Africa which is suffering, not them. In fact, many of them are relieved. Some of them, let not be mentioned a country. When you mention to them, they said, look, we haven't expelled anybody from our country. We haven't sent anybody to South Africa. If you South Africans welcome anybody who comes there, it's your own problem. Solve it there. Don't come to us.
That's Zimbabwe.
I never said
Isn't
so.
it? Yeah.
I
see it in your eyes.
I never said so, Clement. Those words come from you, not from my mouth. Please.
Because I've heard them say
Even
that. I've
in the
interviewed
court
the
of law.
Zimbabwean ambassador, and he has said similar things to me. Because I've asked him, what responsibility do you take? Why are you not working with our government to try and resolve this? Because it's a burden that falls on us.
Yes. And he told you that? Well, that comes from you, not from me.
Not in so many words, but he was like, well, that's yours. We never said anybody must come to South Africa to come and use your resources.
That's where the problem is. So what I told Operation Dudula is the problem we're having, Clement, which you need to solve very fast, is the issue of having a health information system that can make you trace patients. Let me explain in short what I mean. You saw the medicines that were crossing the border there, to Zimbabwe.
ARVs.
Yeah, people were saying they were stolen. And I said they might not have been stolen. They might not have been stolen. It might be prescription from doctors who give them legally. Because what we know in Sepini is that people move from clinic to clinic collecting medicines. Even South Africans do, by the way. You can move from one clinic, give you medicine, you go to the next. People hoard these medicines. So even South Africans unfortunately do, but it becomes worse if it's somebody from another country. So the solution is to come up with a health information system that links all the health facilities, all the health professionals, all the doctors, public and private. Now we've been working with CSIR for the past 8 years to have such a system. It is there. It's called Health Patient Record Registration System, HPRS. We have just piloted it in the Free State. We are connecting hospital to it. Once it is up and running, you'll be able to catch and say, but you collected your medicines yesterday or 2 hours back. You collected this medicine because we are in such and such a facility, or you saw such and such a doctor. That can help us tremendously.
Okay. Minister, thank you so much for making time for us, and thanks for giving us a couple of more minutes of your time.
Thank you.
It's 13 minutes now after 11 o'clock, and it's time now for our World of Work feature.
Clement is on X
At the Real Clement M.
So on our World of Work feature this morning, we're discussing how to deal with grief when you are in the workplace. Grief is part of life, and as an adult, you take your grief wherever you go, right? This is not something you leave at home, and that includes taking it into the workplace. And we live in a world that pushes productivity and performance, and many workplaces, if we're being honest, are not even equipped to deal with loss, whether it's the death of a loved one or the end of a relationship or any other major life change. So grief in the workplace can show up in so many ways. There are people who will miss deadlines because they are going through grief. They'll have glazed over eyes, unexpected outbursts, you name it. So the truth really is that grief doesn't really stay at home. And I want us to have a conversation about how we can deal with grief in the workplace, but also as employers, what you can do to support your employees who are going through that. Anya van Beek is a talent and culture strategist, leadership and HR expert and executive coach who's going to guide us through this conversation. But I'm also interested in your own reflections and your own experiences of how you've dealt with grief in the workplace. I mean, many leaders overlook that grief isn't just emotional, right? It's physical, it's neurological, it changes how the brain processes information, how the body handles stress, how the person shows up day to day. So if you felt and dealt with grief at work, how did you deal with it? How did you manage? And as employers, have you created an environment that is safe and conducive for people who are going through grief while they're still being productive at work? Anya, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. So lovely to be here today.
Yeah. Take us through some ways that grief actually shows up in the workplace.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just want to build on what you said in the intro. It's so important. The leaders that I work with, often I see that they're so confident when it comes to strategy and business discussions, for example, geographical expansion. But when it comes to the people side of the business, then they don't necessarily share the same level of confidence. Now, what I want leaders to know in the workplace is if you need to understand what's happening in a human's brain when they're going through grief, they will understand why high performance might suddenly struggle with deadlines or forget details or sometimes even feel overwhelmed with simple tasks. Now, what we need to understand that as humans, we are wired for connection, and our brains have an internal map of our loved one and almost expect them to be present. Now, these maps or neural pathways are not updated instantly. So that's why the brain keeps searching and expecting them to be back or to be present. And that's why it leads to confusion and distraction. Now, also to remember that when someone grieves, it affects and impacts their prefrontal cortex. And as you know, that's the executive functioning associated with executive functioning, which governs our planning, our priorities, focus and decision making, and even emotional regulation. So we can understand that when one of our team members or ourselves is going through grief, it definitely impacts the way that we show up at work. If you then have a look at what's happening in our bodies, the stress response is activated. And what's happening when the stress response is activated? When it's that fight or flight mode, cortisol is released. And that's when our sleep is disrupted, our immunity is weakened, and we even fatigued. Now, thinking of someone sitting in a meeting, if we take note that social pain or emotional pain is experienced in exactly the same way as physical pain, you can understand that it's sometimes difficult for them to sit in a meeting or focus on a task when they literally feel the heaviness or the tension in their bodies.
Yeah.
And I think to understand that the brain needs to relearn this whole world without the loved one, that takes time and repetition. And as you said, compassion from the workplace.
And of course, it affects how we focus, it affects our memory, our performance on the jobs. So the question then is, how then can we arm ourselves with the framework of sorts so that we're able to still be productive in the workplace while we go through grief? And what do you think is the responsibility of the leaders, the employers themselves? Because I wonder, what is it that most leaders get wrong when dealing with grief in their teams?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I have seen is that leaders does not necessarily understand that the brain toggles between a loss orientation and a restoration orientation for a very, very long time. So it might be that the team members show up at work and everything seems fine, and then just the following day or the following hour, it seems as if it's a different person sitting in front of you. So just to understand that is the way that the brain manages grief, this dual process model. And for us to understand that it can be quite disruptive. Now, I think where the leaders can come in and how they can support the team members is for us to understand that a leader is not a psychologist. We're not trained to do that. But what we can do is we can create an environment where people feel supportive, where they feel seen and heard. And I think the first thing there is to co-create a plan with that individual of how do we need to phase in responsibilities? What is the check-in cadence that we need? Or, what's the communication about energy levels? So it's almost about supporting them and their brains without feeling overwhelmed with basic tasks. And that can be different things in different ways. So first of all, to not have a cognitive overload. So avoid assigning complex or high-stake tasks immediately. It might even just be that awareness of their emotional availability. They might not be ready for activities like the mentorship relationship if they're in one. So you can see there's so many different ways to support them. The one that I think is very easy is to have grace beyond policy, because all of us has policies, family responsibility leave, bereavement leave, whatever they might call it. But for the leader to offer informal flexibility, so perhaps some additional remote days, perhaps even just using the types of word that they use to say, so are you ready to lead again, versus we will build a plan together and when you feel ready. So you can see there's subtle changes that we can do. The one thing, Clement, that I have seen, and I would love to hear the listeners' view on this, is that often the leaders are so uncomfortable that they avoid the topic altogether. So they don't even acknowledge.
And sometimes they don't even know what to say. They're scared of saying the wrong thing.
They're scared of saying the wrong thing. And in that moment, I think it's just about acknowledging the loss, sending a signal that I'm present, I'm here for support, I'm not going to pressure you, and creating a space for, depending on the individual, some people prefer the silence and others prefer sharing. But yeah, it is that subtle message. So I think acknowledging it and just letting them feel it's okay to be human and it's okay to whatever is showing up for them, and that you're there for support.
The days that are already allocated for bereavement leave, are those really enough? And what more can HR do? I hear what you say about maybe sometimes be informal about what you're offering, maybe even like flexible working conditions during that period. But do you think that there's space for some of these laws to be reconsidered, even around how many days you get for bereavement?
Absolutely. I remember when I was in corporate, still working full-time, we called it family responsibility leave, and that was 5 days, which was more than the 3 days that I think the BCEA recommends. So to your question, what can HR and what can leaders do different? And I think the first thing, or an option for them to consider, is to offer an opt-in disclosure so that the individual themselves controls what they share, with who they share it, when they share it, or even asking for support. So it's almost as if you give a little bit more power to that individual. But back to your question about the policy, if we just take how long it takes for someone to really, form those neural pathways, because it takes time and repetition, then the 3 days, in my view, is definitely not sufficient. And usually after 3, 4, 5 months, I don't know, you can say the time frame, then everyone is expected, okay, you're now back to business as usual. And that's sometimes when they need more support or more time. So I think when we think of the leave policies, I think we need to be mindful of that. When we talk about loss, as you said, it might not only be a loss of a loved one, it might perhaps be a miscarriage, it might be a divorce, or even a tough diagnosis that's really life-changing. And I think if we then can change the wording in our policies, that can help to not talk about bereavement leave, but perhaps talk about a significant life disruption or a personal loss or something like that.
Because there are a lot of things that we grieve, right? And it's not just through death that we experience grief. How flexible then should employers be around? Because there are people who go through breakups, relationships and marriages, and there are tough diagnoses, and yet these people are still expected to just be productive and be at work like nothing happened. How do you then advise employers listening to us to sort of broach conversations like that?
Yeah. So I think that that's the focus of having a human-centric culture, because in the end, it's the managers or the leaders' responsibility to create that environment where someone can thrive. Now, as you said in the beginning, no one else except yourself can motivate you. And there's a responsibility on the individual as well to make sure that they deal with whatever they're facing in their in their life. But then at the workplace, for HR and perhaps the leaders to model vulnerability, because it's about building that psychological safe space. And when you model vulnerability and perhaps share stories of your own heartache, miscarriage, or divorce, then it's normalizing asking for support. And then in the end, I think it's also important for the leaders to know who's sitting in front of them, because it's different for each and every one of us. And if you have those regular check-ins, perhaps after week 1, have a check-in where you signal care, you not necessarily signal support or unnecessary expectations, but just no pressure to reply to this email. I'm checking in, thinking of you, and let me know if there's anything I can do to take something off your plate. And then after 4 weeks, just check in and invite some feedback, because if you have now co-created a plan and perhaps was a little bit more softer on the targets and not necessarily taking away the ownership and the accountability, but just giving a little bit more leeway on the timelines, then after 4 weeks you can check in and just say, how's the return been going, anything that we need to adjust or tweak. And then to continue after 3 months, 4 months, just to continue asking that. By now people often stop asking how you are. I haven't forgotten, I'm still here, let's talk if we need to shift things. And I think that's then demystifying that perception that it's a few weeks and then it's over and done with, which it's not.
Because there are some leaders that will say, but I'm not vulnerable. I don't know how to be there. So what difference does it make when leaders show their own vulnerability in moments like that? Yeah.
So, when we think of a psychological safe space, so let me give you this explanation and that might clarify it. So there's a lovely definition by Brené Brown, and she says, if we want our employees to show up and solve problems, serve our customers, and be innovative, as leaders, we need to create an environment where people feel seen, heard, safe, and respected. And if you're vulnerable, you actually, you're walking the talk. So it's not as if I want you to speak up or I want you to share something, but I'm leading with that. So I think what we need to remember is that humans do have different emotions. And sometimes when you see the anger, the fear, the sadness in the workplace, people are uncomfortable in a meeting. Imagine now you're sitting in a one-on-one and the person across the table is starting to cry or they're sad. We're not trained to do that. And I think for leaders, if they can take one thing away, is in that moment, give that message that it's okay to be human, it's okay to have that feeling. Let me recommend recommend someone that can support you. So it might either be the employee assistance program or it might be another professional. But in that moment, just let them know it's okay to be human.
To be human, yeah. John, you're calling us from Winchester Hills. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thank you, ma'am, for quite an interesting topic. Earlier this year, I think beginning of Jan, first week of Jan, I lost my wife. Very young. She was only 42 years old. The support that I got from my company, it was so magnificent. But who drove that support? My immediate line manager. All right. He went to HR. She said, look, this person is not in a good space. I lost my mom in 2022. So you can imagine now, January 2025, I lost my wife. And my wife was very close to my mother. So I went through a very, very traumatic space. And I've got 2 daughters and 1 boy. My youngest is 17 years old. You can imagine the fear. The pain, but my boss went to HR, asked for an additional, instead of giving me 5 days compassionate leave, They gave me 2 months. They said, look, you can work from home, work at your own pace. I'll cover you most in terms of whatever is needed. Come and again, I'll check in on you. They also went as far as getting me counseling via iCares, just to go through the trauma that we went through. So sometimes it's not about policy, it's about humanity, it's about empathy. It's about acknowledging your employees. And I can tell you now, I'm prepared to retire at that place because of the small things. It's not always about rewards or money. It's about how you treat your human capital.
Absolutely. Oh, John. That's so incredible. Thank you so much for calling us, and I'm so sorry to hear about your wife. I wish you so much strength, to you and the kids. Anya, that's precisely what you've been talking about, right? Like humanity. It doesn't have to be about the laws and what the policy says. If someone is struggling, if you think they need extra time, why not give it to them?
Yeah. And John, as Clement said, we're so sorry for your loss, and I can just imagine your responsibilities now looking after the 2 daughters and the boy. But what I love about this example, is it's showing you that one size does not fit all. Because for John being a single dad now, his circumstances and his responsibility is different to perhaps a younger person or older person or whatever. So that's why, as you said, it's beyond the policy. And kudos to your line manager, because I say if we can just have more managers that focus on the individual. Because listen to what John said. I am prepared to go the extra mile. I'm loyal. I will now retire there. And that's the return on that little bit of investment in a time of need.
Anya, thank you so much. Thank you. I believe you've really assisted, especially a lot of leaders out there who probably often struggle with how to respond and how to approach instances where they have got employees or members of their teams that are struggling with grief. Anya van Beek is a talent and culture strategist. It's 11:31. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headline. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Ballistic experts have arrived at the Vosloorus police station to analyze firearm evidence related to an alleged attempted hit on Northwest businessman Brown Mogotsi. The controversial businessman was allegedly shot at in Ekurhuleni last night. Police have opened an attempted murder case, but the details around the shooting still remain sketchy. Embattled crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo is back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry this morning, more than a month after he fell ill. Khumalo testified for 2 days in late September before falling ill on the morning of October 1st, just minutes before he was expected to continue his testimony. It's reported that he was rushed to hospital but discharged shortly after and was recovering from home. And the man convicted of the murder of Stellenbosch University student Jesse Mitchell has been sentenced to life behind bars. 20-year-old Rudolf Hufter was found guilty after he entered into a plea and sentencing agreement with the state. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
There's queuing traffic along the Makwa North between Empire Road and the Killarney Bends. That's due to an accident while travelling on the same route, Makwa North. We've got delays between Boyson's Road and the Crown Interchange. That's due to roadworks that are taking place along the route. Please be on the lookout there. More roadworks are causing delays on the N3 North between Marlborough Drive and the Baklu Interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 West. This is between the Inville Road exit and the R24 merge. If you're travelling in Boksburg, please be on the lookout for roadworks along the N17 East, causing delays between the R21 and Carnival City entrance. More updates coming up at the top of the hour with Karabo Jali. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
Why did this have to land up in court?
The CERI is not opposed to the city enforcing its bylaws. In fact, the city can change at any time to say what was a trading sport is no longer a trading sport, but must do that in a legal manner and make sure that then they reallocate those people. But if we're going to flaunt all of these laws and rules, then the city is promoting, in effect, a lawless state, which cannot be acceptable.
Nkosinathi Sithole, Director of Litigation at Siri.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
Join Tembinkosi Mtembu from the hit series Shaka Ilembe and be the strong man who makes better health a legacy. Shop Sela Men's Health Range. Strong man, stress and anxiety, clear skin, joint, gout and daily immune. Available in a tea, mixture and capsules. Shop today at Clicks, Discount, ShopRite, Checkers, Boxer, Pick and Pay and Spa. Don't compromise. Sela Ia Sebenza.
Smart Steve from Momentum, hello.
How's it, But? It's Jason here, your favorite gymfluencer.
Jason, still lifting more than your selfie stick?
Always, But. Gotta stay shredded, eh? But I'm worried about one thing. What if a major illness hits? Who's got my back?
Relax, Jason. Momentum's critical illness cover is your spotter. It offers the most comprehensive cover in the market.
Buddy, I'm signing up faster than I could do 10 reps. But I'm worried about something else, eh?
Let me guess. How many protein shakes it takes before you turn into the incredible bulk?
No, man. Will anyone notice if I skip a leg day?
Chat to your financial advisor about Momentum's critical illness cover. Momentum, protecting your journey to success. Momentum is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect, and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Norman, describe this piece of land for me, please.
An iconic site right adjacent to Nelson Mandela Square. As you move through the library area, the land extends all the way through to the Gautrain, where the entrance of the Gautrain is. You don't get a vast piece of land of about 4 hectares, Sandton City, which I believe is the capital of Africa.
Norman Rath, CEO of Roll Auctions and Sales.
The Money Show.
The Money Show
on K-Talk.
Join the conversation.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB, advancing Red Rocket's ambitions with Discovery Green as the offtaker to power Africa's future through affordable, renewable energy.
702.
Health and wellness.
23 minutes before 12 o'clock, we start with our health and wellness feature now. And today we are talking about this excitement that we're seeing about protein. It's suddenly become such a big wellness trend. Have you picked that up? Because I wonder if it's really worth the hype. If you've not been on social media lately, so what's been happening is that a lot of people have been talking a lot about protein and the benefits of protein. Everybody's talking about how, whether in the shakes, cereal, in the snacks, even in coffee, this is something that is becoming part of everyday life. Like it used to be something for, bodybuilders, for instance, the obsession. But protein is being sold as the secret to better health, to stronger muscles, and even slower aging. But are we maybe going a little overboard? Do we really need all that extra protein, or could some of these products actually be doing more harm than good? And I want you to share your experiences with us about how much protein you consume, and do you actually prioritize protein? Give us a call on 011-883-0702. You can share your thoughts with us on the WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702. Gina Bowes is a dietitian and a nutritionist who's joining us on the line. Thank you so much for making time for us, Gina. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
We're seeing protein everywhere, from shakes to cereals to coffee. Why has it suddenly become such a big wellness trend?
I think in general, so many people have become so much more health aligned, wanting to look into longevity, what keeps us ticking over, and protein is definitely the cornerstone towards prioritizing our health. We're looking at longevity being so closely linked to body composition, not just total weight. So here I'm talking towards your muscle to fat ratios. And when it comes to muscle, protein is definitely one that gets placed in the spotlight, and even more so in today's day and age.
So how much protein do people actually need each day? And do you think most South Africans are already getting enough from their food?
Well, when it comes to South Africans, we know we love a braai, so absolutely. Protein's quite easy to meet because our requirements are only 0.8 grams of protein per kg of body weight a day. But this figure is quite low. It's basically your maintenance requirement in a day, and we're starting to look at having higher requirements, especially in active or in athletic population groups, pushing that number to as high as 1.2, perhaps even to 1.4. And in certain other population groups where muscle breakdown might be happening, maybe those that are in a weight loss or an energy deficit phase, endurance athletes that are breaking down muscle through the activities that they are doing, or simply those that are wanting to gain muscle, we are seeing people wanting to hit protein requirements of close on 1.4 all the way up to 1.8, and in some population groups, being the bodybuilders, even looking at an intake as high as 2 or 2.4 grams of protein per kg of body weight. But when you do the actual maths on that, that's not that excessive. It's not very high at all, especially when an average protein shake is giving us as much as 20 to 30 grams of protein serving and protein brand dependent.
But some experts are saying that we're overdoing it with protein. Do you think that's the case? Are people consuming more than they really need from your experience?
Sometimes, not always. Meals are often quite carb heavy and not always protein dominant. This might come down to the convenience of food. It might come down to the cost of food. And, access to something like a bread roll is that much easier than cooking up a chicken breast or boiling an egg. And that's also why protein powders have become so popular, because they do offer that convenient side to them as well. So, yes, some people are getting enough, maybe even too much protein. Like I mentioned, the numbers are quite low and it is quite easy to meet. But we do need to be calculated in our approach, and we do need to prioritize protein if we are wanting to hit those numbers, just for reasons as previously mentioned.
Okay. So protein powders are also like a big part of this trend. What are the main risks of relying on them too much?
Protein powders and supplements in general aren't always very well regulated. There are lots of different protein powders on the market. They range in cost, they range in efficacy, and they obviously range in how they're monitored and made. We have seen studies that have shown that protein powders made by well-known manufacturers are actually filling products with fillers that are masking the action of having a protein content higher than what they actually claim to have. That talks towards the absorptive capacity that our bodies have to take in the protein that is put into these products. In terms of what I'm referring to is, if you are taking a product that's giving you 20 to 30 grams of protein, we question how much of that protein is your body actually absorbing and utilizing in comparison when it's taken in more of a food, more natural form.
I see. It's 18 minutes now before 12 o'clock. I want to take some questions, some inputs as well from some of our listeners on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, you can send us your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. We're talking about this sudden trend, we're trying to understand what's really driving the popularity, especially among ordinary consumers today, this issue of protein, because we're seeing it everywhere now. And maybe that's something you've noticed. Maybe you've always prioritized protein in your food. Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Let's start with your WhatsApp voice note.
Morning, Clem, and good morning to your guest. I just want to ask your guest about the carnivore diet. I see there was a huge trend about the carnivore diet, but I've spoken to a few people that said, people had bad complications like too much cholesterol. Someone had to get a heart bypass, and this was a big trend. So thank you, Dave from Pretoria.
Thank you for that, Jenna.
So the carnivore diet is one that's strictly animal-based, which includes obviously your meat, your fish, your eggs, your dairy, and it doesn't necessarily include any of your vegetables, grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Now, when it comes to the individual, we've got to understand we are all made up differently. Some of us might have a predisposition to something like diabetes. Others might be predisposed to cardiovascular events or high cholesterol. Knowing what your genetic makeup from family history or even current medical standings is really important before embarking on a diet that is advocated for in terms of general as opposed to individual on personal needs based. So a carnivore diet, one that is rich in animal products, may result in someone consuming high fat from animals, which is generally found in our animal meats, things like the skin or the bone or even visible fat on certain cuts of meat. And these fats are actually inflammatory by nature. So they can translate to increasing cholesterol because of the saturated fat in terms of their content, as well as being paired with a lower fiber intake, which is actually anti-inflammatory and can in fact have cholesterol lowering properties.
And then Sabi on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I became vegetarian but didn't take enough protein and I became diabetic. Is the shortage of protein, could it contribute to that, to diabetic?
Not necessarily the shortage of protein, but perhaps the type of carbohydrate that was consumed in replacement of the protein. We've got carbohydrates, beans, legumes, your grains that are all really high in fiber. And then we have carbohydrates, white breads, pastries, muffins, cakes, etc. that are very refined in nature. The refined foods are lower in fiber. They will influence our blood glucose levels more drastically than foods that are higher in fiber. And as mentioned, foods that are high in fiber are very anti-inflammatory. They help regulate our appetite as well. And foods that are going to influence our blood glucose levels more drastically are more than likely going to result in difficulty managing your overall insulin and perhaps even translate to a diabetic tendency or pre-diabetic tendency.
Yeah. Okay, I've got some more WhatsApp voice notes coming through. We'll get to them after the break. It's now 14 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings.
8 to midnight.
I always agree with AfriForum. I think they need to be thanked for their stance against NERSA. NERSA has been making certain decisions about electricity tariffs that have simply not been within the framework of the law in as far as consultation with you and I, the people that must pay these new tariffs. AfriForum, they took the fight to NERSA and to the courts in the proper way. It is wrong for NERSA to simply make decisions, and these guys have been getting away with murder, quite literally.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
Get ready, South Africa. Mvudzi Ballet proudly presents Sean Bovim's Private Presley, the ballet, a spectacular reimagining of the life and legend of Elvis Presley from his military days to his greatest loves. Experience the king of rock and roll's story told through breathtaking dance, starring international ballet sensation George Wade from Mexico as Elvis and South Africa's own prima ballerina Angela Revi as Priscilla. Beautiful singers Logan James and Patience Mahema bring some of his unforgettable songs to life. Don't miss this wonderful tribute on stage at the Peter Torin Theatre at Monte Cassino on the 24th of October to the 30th of November. Book now at Web Tickets.
Tip your way to glory in the Hollywood Bets Punters Challenge, the free-to-play horse racing game with daily cash giveaways and massive jackpot prizes. Pick all the winners on the race card and you could win 100,000 Rand. Bet 50 Rand or more on your selections using the Bet Slip feature and you could walk away with 1 million Rand. Visit punterschallenge.hollywoodbets.net today and tip your way to the top. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008.
It all starts with FNB Private. With secure, easy payments for a hassle-free overseas holiday. Tap, swipe, or go digital with your FNB Visa cards. Earn rewards when using your FNB credit card or global account debit and virtual card. You can even fund your global account on the FNB app while traveling. Make the most of every moment. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's own rules and limits apply.
702.
Health and wellness.
11 minutes before 12 o'clock, we are talking about protein and the hype around it, and I'm taking your questions as well and your inputs on it. Let's start with WhatsApp voice notes, and I've got some more questions that I'll put up to my guest, Jenna Bowes, who's a dietitian and nutritionist.
Good morning, Clement. This is Selma from Roodepoort. Too much protein can overload your kidneys, specifically in cats, but in people as well. They even have a special renal diet that the makers of cat food make. That is a lower protein, has a lower protein value, to especially take the load off the kidneys of cats that start getting kidney disease to help them to live longer. So, and when I spoke to my doctor about this, she said, yeah, humans have got the same problem. If your kidneys start giving up, or too much protein will also affect your kidneys. So just would like you to know that. Have a lovely day. Bye.
Oh, thank you for that. Jenna, this is Chad in Johannesburg South, Jenna, who says, protein shakes will never replace a good old chicken and broccoli diet and intense weight training, because chicken and broccoli don't have side effects, he says on the WhatsApp line. Let me first get your reflections on that before I move on to the other questions.
Okay, so with regards to the kidney comment, absolutely, there will definitely be certain population groups or certain individuals that struggle with their kidney function, and those people who struggle with kidney function should be wary of how much protein they are taking. But for a general healthy individual, taking in a high protein intake throughout the day will not compromise kidney function directly. Kidneys only get compromised through certain medical conditions, certain situations, even like something as simple as severe dehydration, that can impact your kidney function, and then kidneys don't tolerate the high protein diets that we follow as well. But in a general healthy individual, your kidney function being optimal will tolerate a higher protein intake. And we don't know from a research standing point of exactly what a specific protein brand is going to do in terms of side effect. What we do know is the ingredients within those brands, how well they are researched and what effects they can have. So often these products are sweetened with sugar alcohols, or what we might call non-nutritive sweeteners that might not hold calorie load but can actually translate to digestive discomfort in some individuals. We also might see them causing digestive discomfort because of certain fibers or fillers that certain brands use. So you are going to be safer with consuming a whole food diet. Protein powders need to be seen as processed food items. So that is definitely a warranted statement. Absolutely agree with that. But like I said, they do have their place. They are generally fillers, and they are used to inconvenient space.
Mm.
Good morning, Clement. Lisibana here from Roodepoort. And just on the protein issue, Clement, I think, unfortunately, the protein powders are being sold as the one magic pill that will solve many issues. And that's unfortunately not the case. Protein is part of other elements that you require, like carbohydrates, sodium, and the like. So a balanced diet is more important. And in fact, you can get your whole protein intake through food, things like chicken breasts, red meat, and the like. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it on the red meat because you might end yourself up with gout. But balanced diet is more important. But if you are supplementing because you train, there's other things to look at, such as creatine, your hormones, your age, your gender. All of those things come into play. So the exam question is not answered just by protein, as it is somewhat foretold.
Very good morning, Clement. If you can just ask your guest, as an athlete, when is the best time to take protein? By.
All right. Yeah, Jenna, for athletes, when is it best to take it? Closer to, I don't know, race day, if maybe you are a runner, or how do you advise?
So protein is needed for all athletes. Athletes in general have slightly higher requirements, but we need to identify what the athlete is competing in. Is it a runner? Is it a sportsman like a rugby player? What are their individual protein requirements? As well as the individual sporting requirements. Is it a high intensity sport? Is it an endurance type sport? Is it a muscle or strength type of exercise that's being completed? The timing is important from a recovery perspective, and the timing in terms of recovery is on completion of exercise. There is a little to and fro in research with regards to what that window should look like, but ideally we do want our next meal to contain at least 20 to 30 grams of good available protein. Food first approach would be my advocation, but you can also look at protein powders again from a convenient or from a food restrictive type of reasoning. So we would look at total protein in a day for an athlete, as well as aiding in recovery, as well as having enough proteins available in general to make sure that we are matching and having a surplus of what might be broken down through the sport that they are participating in.
Okay. There's a question about some powders that are often loaded with sugar or, additives. What should consumers look out for, especially on the labels?
Protein powders are, as mentioned, not well governed. When you go and you look at a label, you've always got an ingredients list as well as a nutrient panel. Just to summarize, an ingredients list is what you're going to be putting into the product, what type of protein powder, be it a whey or a casein or a protein from pea or hemp or soy, if they were plant-based options. You'll also see what is being used to sweeten the product. Protein powders are not nice in terms of taste. Protein is in fact very, very bitter. So if you taste a protein powder and it tastes sweet or it's got a chocolate flavoring, you're wanting to look out for what is creating that sweetness. As mentioned, most protein powders are isolated protein, so they do not generally have a carb content or even much of a fat content. That will be very low. You will be able to identify how much protein, carb, and fat, as well as the total energy of that product is according to the actual nutritional label, not the ingredients list. The ingredients list, you can identify the type of sweetener, be it a maltitol, sorbitol. Those are what we call sugar alcohols, or things like asulfamine, aspartame K. Those are non-nutritive sweeteners, meaning they don't have calorie, but they do offer you sweeteners. You'll also see on the ingredients if products have provided things that might aid in digestion, be it probiotic or digestive enzymes, just to lighten that load of the protein powder on the gut. But you would find all of this on your actual ingredient list as I explained.
Jenna Bowes, thank you so much for making time for us. She's a dietitian and nutritionist. It's 3 minutes before 12.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
If South Africa has its white genocide, well, then Nigeria has a Christian one, says the U.S. President Donald Trump. It would appear the American president has his sights on Africa's two largest economies. What will this mean for Abuja?
The response by many people is disbelief that the president is saying these things. On the other hand, it's also kind of a reach out from the Nigerian government to say, okay, you want to help, partner with us.
Philip Fanikar, the editorial director of Scroller Africa.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9, featuring Hipia. Their CEO, Gift Nkuna, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
LLB graduates can fast-track their legal career with the Law Society of South Africa's PVT School for Legal Practice. LPC accredited, this 4-month practice-ready course, which is taught by practicing lawyers, can reduce your PVT contract by 12 months for admission. Study by day, after hours, or via distance at campuses nationwide. The first 2026 intake runs from January to April. Applications close 31 October 2025. Apply now at lssalead.org.za. That's lssalead.org.za.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow.
That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actis-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
Mandy Wiener, good morning.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela.
What's popping today?
So we've got that court judgment that's just come in about Operation Dudula that you got the health minister to respond to. So we'll speak about that and get a reaction. The police have set up a team to investigate the alleged hit on businessman Brown Mogotsi. You know, we've seen this movie before. I've got stories.
Yeah.
I'll tell some stories. The crime intelligence boss is on the stand at the Midlanga Commission, the deputy police ministers at the ad hoc committee, and then we'll pick up on that story about the security specialist arrested for testing security at Nasrec ahead of the G20.
Whew.
Very, like a lot of irony there.
A lot. All right.
South Africa's a movie.
Up. It is a movie. That's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thank you for listening to the show. We'll be back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. We're live from Westbury tomorrow. Remember, we were supposed to do this outside broadcast last week, but because of the rain, we had to cancel it. So tomorrow, please come join us if you're going to be in and around Westbury. We want to talk about what has really been a disturbing issue of crime, gang violence, and drugs in that area. So we'll be in Westbury for 3 hours tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Ballistic experts have arrived at the Vosloorus police station in Ekurhuleni to analyze firearm evidence related to an alleged attempted hit on Northwest businessman Brown Mogotsi. The controversial businessman was allegedly... Alfara Mushwana is there.
A red Chevrolet sedan stands at the Vosloorus police station with its passenger window shattered and glass lit.